Caught my girlfriend 20F of 18 months with another girl. Her absurd reaction. I saw people get a lot of responses on here, so I thought I'd create an account to see what advice anyone can offer. Sorry for the essay, okay. A little backstory. I'm 22, and my girlfriend, we'll call her Jess, and I have been in a relationship for nearly 18 months. She's very attractive, and in all honesty, I wouldn't say I'm a lost cause, but I'm certainly punching a bit. Anyway, last week we were at an exhibition function for our shared university course. It was a fairly normal evening up until I saw her talking to this girl from the other side of the hall. Nothing unusual, I just didn't recognize her. However, when they turned around, I noticed the mystery girl had her hands seriously low on my girlfriend's back. I didn't think much of it at the time, but they were completely inseparable for the entire evening. The next week or so, we were unusually distant from each other. I wanted to make sure nothing was wrong before I went away. I was going to Bristol for the weekend, and I didn't want to leave things on bad terms before I left. But she was having none of it. Just being really blunt and such, so I left for my parents, who were giving me a lift to Bristol, but when I got there, Mum said the old man was ill and we wouldn't be going, at least not today. So, already angry that she didn't tell me this over. The phone, I drove back to ours in a foul mood, and that's when I caught her. The front door was off the latch for some reason, so I didn't need my key. I came in the door normally, but kind of stopped when I heard what sounded like Jess giggling. We live on a ground floor flat, so there is no floorboards to creak. As I got closer, I could hear someone, clearly a female, sound quite breathy, like panting. At this point, I thought Jess might have been having some alone time or something, so I was about to make myself known, until I looked down and saw a pair of worn pink all-stars that I knew were not Jess's. At this point, confusion was starting to build, and as I turned the corner, our bedroom door was wide open, and there was the girl from the gallery in my fucking bed, and someone was beneath the covers. What the fuck is this? I believe was my first reaction. Gallery girl just stared at me, shocked yet as I called to Jess. Something strange happened. Absolutely nothing at all. She just stayed under the covers and didn't move. For what felt like the longest time, I just stood there open-mouthed, until I finally shook myself into action and started to leave. Next thing I know, she comes flying out of the door into the hallway of the block, wearing just a pair of knickers and a vest, for God's sake, trying to somehow make this out to be my fault. I literally didn't know what to say. She's freaking out. And all I could come up with was, "You're not wearing anything. Get back inside. We'll discuss this later." When I got back to the car, the belated rage began to set in. I was angry she cheated. Angry she blamed it on me, and angry I didn't say something else. Honestly, it's the most ridiculous, absurd scenario I've ever found myself in, and perhaps that's why I wasn't so angry initially. But now I'm wondering what to do. I didn't know she was into girls. She never mentioned anything like that. And now she's cheated on me with one, and we're renting a flat together. Is this just her experimenting? Can we recover? Has anyone been in this situation before? I am at my wit's end here, people. TLDR, caught girlfriend cheating on me with another girl, blames me. Edit. I've just realized how insanely British this all is so. Lift. Ride. Knickers. Panties. Vest. Tank top. Flat. Apartment. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Drop her like it's hot. She's trying to justify being a shitty person that ain't you fault? Reply. That's all I can think of. But there's many other things to consider in all fairness. Commenter 2. Look, obviously no one here is gonna know the whole story and every detail. Based on information given, that's probably the best course. Unless you're trying to justify her cheating and looking for validation that it is actually your fault so you can feel good about staying with her. Reply. I don't mean consider from her side. She done the dirty, I know that. But we've literally just committed to a 6-month rental. She's texting all the time saying she's sorry. I just don't want to be too rash here. Commenter 3. If you saw her getting fucked by a man, would you still hold the same opinion? Reply. I guess not. I wanted to tell myself she was maybe just experimenting, but she was clearly going down on this chick, and I honestly don't know how long it's been going on. Commenter 4. Cheating is cheating. Doesn't matter if it's a man or woman. And even if it was experimenting, I'm not gonna accept my SO to be comfortable with her coming home to me fucking another dude's butthole because I was curious. Commenter 5. Experimenting or not, she cheated on you. Now there is two things you can do: try and patch it up, or end the relationship. Commenter 6. Actually, based on his edit, it more sounds like she used him to hide her sexuality. Reply: yeah. To be honest, the more I learn about this, the more it sounds like she's way past experimenting. Commenter 7. I mean, she was going down on the other girl. I might be able to believe this was an experimenting thing if it was the other way around. But most girls don't just go from 100% straight to eating pie. They just don't. Regardless, it's still cheating. Reply: honestly, it's this kind of thing that's been going round my mind since it happened. She never let on a single hint she was anything but straight, until moment I found her between another girl's legs. Feels like the whole thing we had has just been a lie. Commenter 8. Can you go into a little more detail about her absurd reaction? You teased it in the title, but trying to somehow make this out to be my fault didn't really deliver. Reply: well, partly absurd because she was wearing basically nothing out in the hallway where strangers from other flats come and go, and she's historically quite a modest person. Worse though, because she said something along the lines of, "You said you were leaving for Bristol," which absolutely flabbergasted me. Then the nail in the coffin was, "What, so I get all the blame for this?" To which I had no appropriate response other than absolute fury. So I took the decision to calmly tell her to go back inside, and I left. Edit: I've read nearly all of these comments now, and honestly, you guys are pretty much spot on, I'm afraid. I can't go back to her and keep any shred of dignity, especially after I found Gallery Girl on FB earlier and messaged her. She admitted it's been going on a while and is desperate for me not to tell anyone, as much as it would be a shitty move. I'm seriously considering outing them both, knowing her friends. The last thing Jess would want is for them to think she's into girls. I know it's petty, but I'm just so mad right now. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. In regards to your edit about outing her, I understand that you already said you wouldn't, but please consider before telling anyone anything, no matter the circumstances. Outing her could put her in physical danger. With her family, her friends, random people on the street. It's not just a shitty thing to do. It's literally bargaining her physical health, living situation, friendships, relationships, etc. She did a horrible thing, but nothing calls for that. Commenter 2. This is the UK. People aren't as bothered about these things as they are in the US. She certainly wouldn't be in any physical danger. Pretty much all the women I know identify as bisexual. It's not all. That's surprising when you find out a girl likes being with other women. Reply: honestly, the worst thing that would happen is that her asshole friends, who she used to make derogatory lesbian jokes with, would realize how much of a fucking hypocrite she's been this whole time. Couldn't think of a nicer outcome for the girl. Update: had a lot of back and forth texts with the ex. She's stopped saying she's sorry, instead trying to say that I didn't see what I thought I saw, which is hilarious. Here's the kicker though. She told one of our mutual friends, a girl, that we split up because she had a guy round, and I hit the roof and overreacted. Wasn't gonna divulge the full story to anyone, but after I heard she had said that I told this mutual friend the whole story, mutual friend didn't believe me, so I showed her the messages between me and Gallery Girl. Now her friends at least know she's a cheat and a liar. Also, I told the landlord I'd like to take myself off the lease because this has happened and he's looking into it. Hopefully that can be resolved in the next week or so. I've also been getting spammed with texts from Jess today saying I'm heartless and I've ruined her life. Oh, the irony. Final comments. Commenter 1. While I sit here on my balcony and smoke my last cigarette for today bedtime, nothing better has ever satisfied this loneliness of mine than reminiscing about a post I read earlier today by OP, and the result being posted with sweet vengeance. Bless you, stranger. You've made my heart a little lighter. Reply: obviously it's a shitty situation all round, and honestly I was willing to pretty much let it all slide after I cooled off from yesterday, but lying about me to our mutual friends? Nah. Commenter 2. Oh, please tell her this, like, not in a way that she can reply back 'cause you should cut her out, but like in a snarky note on a bouquet of the cheapest flowers ever, left on the stoop to your old apartment. She opens the door, reads the start of the note, and feels hope, and then you dash it. But I am a vengeful god. Don't take my advice. Reply: ha ha. It's good advice in my opinion. However, I am in constant discourse with the girl despite the fact she is talking absolute nonsense. Commenter 3. Well, Here's some good advice then. Stop talking to her. There's nothing to gain from it. I mean, come on. She's obviously an idiot. Thinking back to the first post when she was hugged up in the gallery while you were there. How does a person that stupid manage to feed and clothe themselves? Oop, you are correct. After tonight, I dare say we won't speak again. Other than me going over to get my stuff. Commenter 4. She told one of our mutual friends, a girl, that we split up because she had a guy round and I hit the roof and overreacted. Wasn't gonna divulge the full story to anyone. But after I heard she had said that I told this mutual friend the whole story. I suspect once you start lying like she did, all bets are off. She compounded an already terrible situation. I don't think she thought things through. Reply, yeah, I tried to explain this to her over text. This is completely all her own doing. She at first claimed I didn't see what I know I saw. Then she tired to explain that people might think I'm making it up. Clearly not realizing I'd spoke to Gallery Girl over Facebook. I showed her the proof, but said I wouldn't out her if she was honest about it all with our friends. She wasn't honest, so I told them. I really don't know what she thought would happen here. Commenter 4. She stopped saying she's sorry, instead trying to say that I didn't see what I thought I saw. How dumb does she think you are? What was she expecting you to say? Oh, you're right. I didn't see you in bed with someone else after all. I was just hallucinating. Reply, I think she's just in full damage control mode now and quite frankly isn't making a lot of sense. She'd rather shift the blame back onto me than confront the fact that her slightly homophobic friends now know she's into girls. So she's panicking. Commenter 5. I can't help but wonder. Do you just have to take a moment and wonder what kind of person you were dating? She just sounds so dumb. Reply. Honestly, I know I've painted a picture of an incredibly stupid girl, but that's what makes her actions here all the more shocking to me. She really isn't that dumb. I have to believe that her getting caught in a seriously compromising position is what has led her to act so stupidly, because I have found myself completely dumbfounded at some of the stuff she has said since I caught the two of them, what the ex told the friends exactly. I think her implication to the mutual friend was that there was just a guy at our house and no funny business was going on, like there actually was with the girl. Stories number 2. Teacher called me Catherine because she couldn't bother to learn how to pronounce my name, so I called her by her first name for the rest of the year. In 6th grade, I had this math teacher named Ms. White, who was pretty strict. Our school was honestly very diverse, but she was very, as her name suggests, white. I have a pretty difficult name to say, as it is Hawaiian. I am half Japanese, half white. But both sides lived in Hawaii for 3+ generations. My name is Kaui. It looks daunting, but it's just Kaui. So honestly, not very difficult, emo. Anyway, Ms. White stumbled on my name when she read attendance, so I did the usual, oh, it's pronounced Barchus. You know what she did? She literally went, I'll call you Catherine. Let me tell you, I was flabbergasted. Like it was a private, very diverse school. And I had never had this happen. Teachers had horribly mispronounced my name, but this was definitely new. Also, no offense to any Catherines, but I love my name and it has a lot of meaning to my family, and to be honest, it sounds cooler than Catherine. Take no offense, please. I was so surprised that for the first 2 weeks I kinda just let it happen. But at some point it was just irking me because she made no effort to learn how to say my name. I never told her she could call me Catherine. And on top of that, she could have even asked me for a nickname or my middle name or something, so I started calling her by her first name, Jessica. She was the kind of teacher who no one called by her first name. Even the other teachers called her Ms. White. I had to look in the yearbook from the year before to find it, but from that day on, she was Jessica. And when that didn't make her mad enough, she was Jessie, or Jess, or JJ, or any other nicknames I could think of. She never yelled at me or anything. She just corrected me and said Ms. White. And then I would ignore it. For example, Jessa. That's Ms. White. Jessica, I don't get number 3, can you explain? She never lost her temper but was always annoyed, lol. She called me Catherine for the rest of the year. So not the most satisfying story, but I was happy with that revenge. Ms. White apparently got fired 2 years later for microaggressions towards students of color. And honestly, I'm not surprised. I just wanted to share this story because I figured y'all would enjoy it. Pasting this edit in because of the amount of comments I am getting. Here you go. Hey, I'm getting a lot of confusion about the pronunciation of my name. Many comments are very kind, and just saying how they originally thought it was pronounced like Maui. Others are telling me I pronounce my name wrong. I don't care, man. But I'll do my best to explain some basics for y'all. My name is Kaui. In Hawaiian, each vowel is pronounced, none are silent. However, native speakers tend to blend them together. For example, a plus U would make an AU sound. If you say that fast, it sounds like ow. So when a native speaker says my name, it may sound like Cowie, very similar to Maui. However, there is a difference because really the O is still pronounced a little more. In addition, one difference between Cowie and Maui is the okina, the little apostrophe thingy in reality. It's a slightly different symbol, but I'm lazy. This basically counts as a consonant, and as a little pause. So basically the AU and I sounds do not merge together because they are separated by the okina. Now, why can't you just say Cowie? Good question, I'll still respond. But basically you are saying my name as if it has no okina when it does. Not a big deal, but that's the difference, Hawaii. Also, there are some people saying I'm wrong because Hawaii isn't pronounced Hawaii. True, it isn't. The traditional spelling is Hawaii and pronunciation is Hawaii. Basically the A and the H merge, the W and the A and the I merge, the W makes a V sound since it's surrounded by vowels, and then we have an okina and an I, hence Hawaii. Why it's spelled and pronounced differently normally is because it's the anglicized version. Almost same spelling, just no okina. And the W is seen as making the W sound since that's how it is in English. I am not all-knowing, I don't even speak Hawaiian. I just know some basic facts, but feel free to ask me more questions. Hope this helps. Commenter 1. I once ignored a teacher for an entire day because she kept calling me by my sister's name. Once she made it impossible to keep ignoring her by slapping a book on my desk and yelling my sister's name. I just looked at her and deadpan, I'm still not Leslie. Like, of course, no offense to my sister, I love her dearly. Just like the op isn't Catherine, I'm not Leslie. Reply, what is it with teachers and names sometimes? Commenter 2. I'm glad you fought back. And for what it's worth, I like Cowie much more than Catherine too. Reply, thanks so much. I'm glad as well. Though I wish I could have done more, knowing future students were probably going to be affected by her racism. Commenter 3. Had a teacher in 3rd grade whose personal policy was to call everyone by their proper name. Stephen not Steve, Michael not Mike, William not Bill, etc. I refused to answer her. She'd call out my proper name and I'd ignore her until she walked up to my desk, right in my face, and then I'd correct her to my nickname. She refused to budge, and so did I, after about a month of this. She called my parents, and it was a very rare occasion that my father was home to answer the phone. He listened to what she had to say, and then responded, if you want him to answer you, I suggest you call him what the fuck he wants to be called. That was the end of her trying to use my proper name. Commenter 4. I would have taken it up with administration or had my parents do the same. Reply, yeah. Looking back, that would have been better because it would mean less. Students would have had to deal with her shit. But I was a shy 6th grader. Stories number 3. My 30M best man 31M stole my wife 30F and I think he's back to take my girlfriend 29. F 6 years ago, I 30M was getting married. My best friend 31M, Judas, fake names to protect identities, was my best man. I was getting married to Leah 30F. Our friend group was very close. There were 8-9 of us, and we always did everything together, days out, game nights, holidays, etc. Anytime a friend would bring another female friend into the group, Judas would end up hooking up with them, as he was genuinely just naturally very funny and charismatic, which is a big part as to why he's everyone's best man. But he was never a threat to our relationships because we were all such good friends. Just over a year into our marriage, Leah and I start having issues. I'm in the army, so I'm at camp through the week, returning home Friday evenings and leaving again early Monday mornings. This meant we only really got weekends together, and I'd always want to spend them with the group. And she'd mostly want alone time, just the two of us, as she will have seen the group through the week. This, amongst other things, caused a lot of arguments, and we ended up separating. While all this was going on, 2 of our friends, Judas' cousin Andrew 29M and his fiancée Phoebe 29F, were 3 days away from their wedding day, Judas, of course, being his best man too, when Andrew confessed to Phoebe that he had been cheating on her with a coworker for 6 months, so could not go ahead with the wedding. On what would have been their wedding day, a couple of us went to Phoebe's for drinks to take her mind off everything, and her and Judas slept together. Worst best man ever. Those 2 had always been very close, to be fair. But we were all very surprised finding out. They apparently drunkenly did it a few more times over the next month before deciding to end all that. While Leah and I were separated, I'd still be trying my best to resolve things and work it all out, but she was slowly getting less and less interested in the idea of us. I later found out this was because she was spending all her time with Judas. They had gotten into a relationship, And he was basically living in the house I was paying half the mortgage for. Worst best man ever. When I found this out, I angrily texted him, "You're dead to me." To which he replied solely with an image of the word goodbye highlighted on a Ouija board. Naturally, Leah and I went through the whole divorce process. And her and Judas were happy in their relationship. Judas, Leah, and Andrew were all out of our little friend group. The rest of us went out to celebrate when the divorce had finalized. And Phoebe and I ended up hooking up. Fast forward to now. Phoebe and I have been in a relationship for 3 years now. Leah and Judas have split. She's now with some other man. And he's single. Andrew has gotten married. He actually made it to the altar this time. And yes, Judas was his best man. So who knows what's going to happen down the line with the worst best man. And Andrew's new wife. Yesterday I wanted to surprise Phoebe. I set off to camp early Monday morning like I always do. Except I've booked this week off in secret. I waited for her to go to work, and then I came back to decorate the bedroom with flowers, her favorite chocolates, etc. I park my car a block away so she doesn't know I'm home. When she comes home, I surprise her, but I see that she's on FaceTime. I'm 90% sure the face I see is Judas's. But she very quickly ends the call. Early in our relationship, she drunkenly confessed to me that she thought her and Judas would have ended up together after what would have been her wedding night, and that she was sad when he ended up calling that off for Leah. So my heart sank. She told me it was just her brother on the phone. But I don't believe her. I had also surprised her with a trip to Disneyland. She's always wanted to go in the near future, where I had planned to propose. But now I'm unsure if I should go through with this. If Judas has managed to worm his way back into her life, I need help. I don't know what to do. I've been at my parents' awake all night, and I'm dreading going back home to have a conversation. Do I confront her on this? Or go ahead with the planned trip and proposal and feign ignorance for a happier life? I'm sorry this is so long. I have left it as short as I could. There's 6 years worth of drama I've tried to condense, TLDR. My worst best man got into a relationship with my wife while we were separated and ultimately divorced. My current girlfriend confessed to having feelings for that best man in the past, and now he has resurfaced into her life. Just as I was preparing to propose, relevant comments. Commenter 1, I'd can the idea of a proposal for now. Personally, I think you need a fresh start away from all this drama. And without a woman who is connected to the asshole who ruined your first marriage. Reply, I'd fully thought we'd both block this guy entirely. We've been doing so good for so long. This is the first I've seen or heard from him popping back up. Assuming I'm not just going completely insane and it wasn't in fact her brother. Commenter 2, Judas will always be the one that got away, and he knows it too. If they're not already hooking up, they will soon. And if she leaves you for him, I guarantee he'll drop her ASAP. He's that kind of guy. Commenter 3, you could always have asked to her FaceTime call list to see who she was really on a call to. Then you know who it was, and that should help you know what to do a lot clearer for you. But this whole group seemed like a toxic incest swingers group. Reply, this is a good point actually. Because then even if she's deleted Judas from being there, the lack of her brother's name being there will be just as much proof, yeah. Commenter 4, friendship group incest is always messy. Why did you start a relationship with someone who nearly married your friend, and then dated another of your friends, only dumping her to go after your wife? Did you try dating outside of this group? You're in the military. Don't you have friends there? I don't think you should propose and marry someone linked so closely to a traumatic period in your life. You really need and deserve a fresh start. Reply, I did try dating outside of the group, but not properly. It was too soon after finding out about my then wife and Judas. And so it was more like spiraling down, if that makes sense. And then I ended up with Phoebe, because she was there for me the most, and going through something quite similar at the same time. I have a couple of friends in the military, but we're not like super close. A few were invited to my wedding, but they never showed. They're good if I just want to go out, get drunk, and numb any feelings though. Not really the type to talk to about feelings. Commenter 5. This sounds like a Spanish-Turkish telenovela. WTF is going on? Maybe you should break up from her. If you know she's cheating and find new friends. This is too much. Or you can confront Judas, nice name by the way, and ask him what the fuck does he want. Reply, haha, thank you. I think humor is my biggest defense mechanism. I might have to unblock him somewhere just to confront him. It hurts more because he had literally seen me at my lowest low, and then caused an even lower low, and now potentially back for more. Commenter 6. No, you don't need to talk to him. You tell your girlfriend you saw Judas's face on FaceTime and want to see her FaceTime history. If he's on the list, you walk. If she uses any excuse not to show you the history, call you controlling, Tell you are invading her privacy, you walk. Ask to see the messages between them. Access the deleted messages if you have to. If they have been seeing each other behind your back, you walk. I'm sorry, but really sounds like you guys are done. Stop being a doormat. Commenter 7. Bro, WTF, come on, man. None of these people are worth your time. Keep contact with whoever you need to for the time being. And go out those people's lives, man, you deserve more. Reply, I think you're right. It's just difficult, you know. I truly care for her and a few of the others. I legit don't know how to make new friends in your 30s too, man. Update. My 30M best man 31M stole my wife 30F. And I think he's back to take my girlfriend 29F. Didn't expect to get as many replies as I did. So I figured I'd reply to all here rather than individually. I've read all the comments. And first of all, I'd like to thank all those people that gave me genuine good advice. Secondly, there seems to be a few things I need to clear up. I am from the UK when I refer to camp. I literally just mean base. I don't have to stay there for the whole week. But it is a 90-minute, 2-hour drive back home. I know that doesn't seem far to you Americans as you have to drive 2 hours to get off your streets. But it's long for me. Nobody remained friends with Judas. I did put that in the original post, but a lot of people skimmed over it. Him, Leah, and Andrew all left the group around the time Judas and Leah's relationship was public knowledge. When I wanted to spend time with the friend group, Leah would have been there too. So I wasn't completely neglecting her, for those asking. Judas kept his teeth because I literally have not seen him even once since I found out. Another point a few skipped over. Judas and Andrew are cousins, so they were always going to remain friendly and take each other's sides. I didn't immediately demand to see her phone to check the FaceTime because I panicked. I went into fight or flight and clearly chose flight. Not really what you want from a man supposed to defend your country, but hey, no. I don't know who Kel Knight is. Anyway, back to it. After leaving and going to my mum's, Phoebe had been messaging trying to call, basically just asking to explain herself. I'd said I'd be back later. After posting on here and replying for a while, I managed to get some sleep. I'd been up all night. First thing I did when I woke up was call Phoebe's brother. Explain to him my plan to propose PurePly so he could be the one to break that to her when I chose to leave her. I also asked if he had been in contact with her recently. He said no. The FaceTime can't have been him then. I get back home, ready with everything I need to say, ready to call Phoebe out on her bullshit. But before I can speak, she hands me her phone, tells me I can look through, that she's deleted nothing, and that she'd like to talk and explain rather than shout and argue. There's nothing in the FaceTime call logs, but in her regular call logs there's a Snapchat video call from Judas. I was kind of relieved that I wasn't just being a paranoid mess, but obviously my heart sank. She said that Snapchat was the only place she could find him because he was in her blocked list, so she just unblocked him. Sounds to me like Phoebe was the one that had gone looking to contact Judas. I read through a bunch of the saved messages on there. To be fair, it was mostly just boring chit-chat and talking about musicals. Stopped reading when I got to a message from Phoebe to Judas saying I miss you. Clicked on his profile to delete and block him for her, and saw at the bottom of that page when they became friends on there. It was dated just a week before. So at least they haven't been talking again for very long, I guess. What also caught my eye was in the saved pictures, there was a picture of her feet. Phoebe claims that's from a long time ago. Apparently Snapchat still saves all the previously saved pictures when you unblock someone. Does anyone know if that's actually true? I'm not too familiar with it. Either way, I deleted and blocked him for her. She then explained that she only redded Judas because she was always feeling lonely with me away 4 nights a week, and she just needed a friend. I don't know why our current friends weren't good enough for that, but whatever. She was making all the same complaints my ex-wife had been making before we separated. I've told her for this to work. She needs to keep Judas out of our lives. I've told her I'll look for work outside of the army and leave. I'm a mechanic there, so I assume I can find work in a garage or something easy enough. We spent the week together, and it was fine. I'm now currently back at base, and I'm deciding on if I follow through on that promise to leave and look for work elsewhere, or if I completely jump ship and literally just move elsewhere in the country. Probably still look for work as a mechanic somewhere too, start brand new, and not have my career keep costing me relationships. TLDR, Phoebe had started speaking to Judas again because she was lonely. I'm either going to leave the army and stay with her, or I'm going to move cities and cut all ties with everyone, and start again. I'm still figuring it out. I think I've lost a lot of trust in her. Thanks for reading. Thanks for the advice. Any further advice is always appreciated. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. She was actively trying to cheat. She wanted his attention. She claims to want friends, but he's not a friend. She does not respect you. Do not propose. Reply. I forgot to mention in the post, but I've obviously put all plans to propose on hold. I'm not even sure I'll go back home yet. Commenter 2. Dude, there's something seriously wrong with you. Honestly, you're still considering staying with her after all that? Think about it. She literally admitted she misses the guy who ruined your last marriage. She said she was lonely, and her brilliant solution was to unblock and contact the one man she knew would be unforgivable to you. She lied, stalled, and only handed over her phone when she realized you were already suspicious. And even then, she probably managed what you saw. We were just talking about musicals? Yeah, right. Classic line to make it sound harmless. And that old foot pic excuse? Way too convenient. If Snapchat really kept all that saved, then there's probably a lot more there you didn't even see. And the, I just needed a friend bit? Give me a break. If she wanted a friend, why pick the exact guy who betrayed you and blew up your last relationship? That's not loneliness. That's provocation. Or worse, relapse. You're seriously thinking of quitting your career and changing your whole life for someone who clearly doesn't respect you, your time, or what you've been through. That's not love. That's self-sabotage. Judas humiliated you once, and now he's doing it again, with her help. It's 2-0 for the guy, and you're still thinking about making it work? Wake up. If you want to keep any shred of dignity, end this cycle now. Walk away clean before you become a joke again. She's already shown you who she is, and you already know what happens when you ignore warnings like this. Starting over from scratch is 1,000 times better than being the guy who lets the same traitor win twice. Reply, I definitely needed to hear a lot of this, I think. Thank you. I am also considering a new career not just for her, but if I do decide to start new, I don't want my career costing me another relationship with someone better in the future. Commenter 3 OP. Are you so desperate to not be alone that you'd rather tie yourself to a woman who's already fucked the guy who ruined your first marriage and is back in contact with him? Keep your army job, dump Phoebe, and that entirely codependent, incestuous friend group you have, move cities and start fresh. No one should know you, of you, or anyone from this friend group from hell. Stop being a baby, sack up, and move on, away. Reply, yeah. Definitely leaning to starting new and fresh. Thank you. Commenter 4, she definitely cheated and almost surely deleted the worst of the conversations with him. If you stay with her, she will very likely continue to cheat on you. She has also lied to you. The trust in your relationship is broken. You'd be a doormat if you stayed with her. Reply, I was thinking that as I was just reading their chat about musicals. But then why leave the, I miss you message in? That's what made me think she was actually being honest about not deleting anything, if that makes sense. Commenter 5, because she deleted the worst of it, but knew it would be suspicious if there wasn't something there. I miss you can be construed as innocent, while worse or more raunchy texts will not. It's a way of her keeping you from getting suspicious of her deleting evidence but still finding a way to act remorseful towards you. Reply, damn, you're right. I actually hadn't considered that at all. Fuck. Commenter 6 dude. She's on Team Judas. Reply. So were my dad and stepdad. They knew Judas was living with Leah in our house back then, and were apparently quite supportive of them. Caused a lot of arguments between my mum and stepdad when she found out too. Stories number 4. ATA for taking my niece on vacation after her parents planned one without her? My niece 11 is the youngest child with 4 older brothers. She's also the youngest cousin-grandchild, and the only girl, between that and the fact that she was very sick when she was little. She's a little spoiled by everyone except her parents. When she turned 11, she told her mom she wanted to go on a weekend trip with just her and her mom. Her mom made a big deal about her wanting to exclude her dad and brothers. They refused to do the trip, and also didn't plan anything for her birthday, so I took her on her trip myself. Last month was one of her brother's birthdays. He decided that for his birthday, he wanted everyone to go to Mexico except for my niece. Her parents agreed that it was fair, because if she wanted a trip without them, they can get one without her. They asked me if I could watch her for 10 days. My niece was so upset, so I decided to plan a surprise trip for her. I have some clients in Miami, so I arranged for us to go there for 5 days. Drive up to Orlando for 3 days. Then fly to New York for 2 days, where I also had to get some work done. It was technically a work trip, but I was able to plan a lot of fun outings for my niece. Just before their trip to Mexico, I told my niece's parents that I had to be in Florida and New York for work during their trip, but I could take her with me. Since it was so last minute, they had to agree as they didn't have any other childcare and couldn't miss this trip. She had a blast. We spent a day in Disney World, went to 2 Broadway shows, spent most of our time in Florida on the beach, did a lot of shopping, got room service for the first time, and our tickets were upgraded so we flew first class on our way home. Her parents are mad that I spoiled her and undermined them, so I don't get to see her as much as I used to. I'm still their after-school childcare, so I see her a few days a week, and they're going around telling extended family that I took their kid across the country without permission, because I was upset about her being punished for being rude. Comments. Commenter 1. So she asked for a trip with mom alone. They said no, it's mean to brothers. But when brother wants a trip without her, it's fine because she had dared to ask for a trip without siblings. What sort of mind-bending parents does this poor girl have? NTA. You are a wonderful person to look out for her. Commenter 2. And in 15 years when your niece goes NC with your sister, Bill, and nephews, they'll claim it came out of nowhere. NTA. Commenter 3. Wow. Your niece's parents sound like terrible people to exclude their own daughter from a family trip. It seems like they are trying to spoil their sons to make up for their daughter being ill and getting attention from others. You are a wonderful aunt for treating your niece special. Reply. Yeah. I'm not the biggest fan of them. My sons are all out of the house, so I have space for her to sleep over, and we try to do that every now and then to give her a break. Commenter 4 NTA. So it is fair that the brothers got a trip without her, but she never got a trip without them? I get the spoiled princess thing, although you don't give examples of that behavior, but the parents were massively unfair. The fair thing would be, well, we didn't allow Bella to just have a trip with your mom, so it wouldn't be fair for you to have a trip without her. She was already unfairly punished by not having any birthday celebration. For context, it is okay for a kid to sometimes have just one-on-one time with a parent, and have a just the girls' trip, or just the boys' trip as long as things balance out. WTF is wrong with them? Reply, I don't really have specific examples. She's just not very used to being told no and tends to cry when someone says no to her. Stories number 5. AITA for considering breaking up with my girlfriend for what her grandparents said. I know this sounds weird, but hear me out. I am posting this on an alt account so nobody I know can find it. I 22M and my girlfriend 22F have been together for almost 2 years now. We met during Freshers Week at university and found out we were studying the same course. Our relationship has been running smoothly, and we rarely argue. The one problem that we have is to do with her boy best friend, who we'll call Alex, 23M. Alex has been around for longer than I have. He has known my girlfriend for around 4 years now, and they attended high school together. I initially had no problem with Alex, until he started making fun of my appearance and accent. For context, I am not a bad-looking guy. I am 5'10", and have a decent build. I have been working out for just over half a year now, and I have good facial features. Alex has pointed out small things like the shape of my eyebrows, the way my hair gets messy. I have longer hair that can regularly get tangled up. And my accent, I am Slavic, and English is not my first language, for the most part. My girlfriend has defended me and called Alex out on his BS, but sometimes she will laugh at the things he says, particularly when he makes fun of my accent. This bothers me a lot, as I struggled with my English for a few months before passing my IELTS, and struggled to fit in when I moved here. I have brought this up to her and she apologizes but continues to do so. Now, on to the issue. My girlfriend and I recently went to visit her grandparents for the weekend. They are a pretty big part in my girlfriend life. She was raised by them as well as her parents, and this was my first time meeting them. Her grandmother opened the door and greeted me with a hug and proceeded to say, "Alex, we've heard all about you." I instantly assumed it was a mistake. Her grandmother is old, so maybe it was a memory thing, and I corrected her and told her my name. She frowned and shook her head, sure that it couldn't be correct. The dinner was a bit awkward, as both her grandparents kept referring to me as Alex. My girlfriend kept on correcting them, and they looked confused. After the dinner, I politely asked my girlfriend why they continued to mix me up with Alex. She blew up on me, telling me they're old and struggle with memory loss. I apologized, explaining I didn't mean to insult anybody. I just wanted to know why they continued to refer to me as Alex even after correction. We left it at that, and spent the night watching movies that her grandparents enjoyed. I was setting up the bed in the spare room for me and my girlfriend F, when I overheard her grandmother and her talking. My girlfriend was talking in a hushed tone about Alex. Her grandmother kept asking why she hadn't brought Alex along like she said she would. I couldn't hear my girlfriend very well, but she told her grandmother something came up, so she had to bring me instead. I was surprised, as we had this trip planned for a couple of weeks beforehand. I heard her grandmother asking how Alex was doing, and when they get to see him again. I am really confused. I asked my girlfriend about it in bed, and she insisted that her grandmother just struggled with memory loss and didn't know what she was saying. I asked if she had planned to bring Alex to her grandparents, and if so, I would have had no problem with it if she'd have simply let me know. She blew up on me again, insisting I didn't understand her relationship with Alex. She called me a few petty names and told me to sleep on the pull-out couch. I reluctantly agreed and laid awake all night thinking about the conversation. Since then, my girlfriend has been more irritable and nothing I say makes her want to talk to me. She has been calling Alex regularly and refusing to tell me why she's so upset. This is deeply confusing me, as I didn't come across as insulting in any way. I have considered breaking up with her a couple of times, as this behavior is completely out of the blue, and her refusal to communicate properly is worrying me. Any advice? Would I be the AH if I broke up with her? Edit. Thank you for the replies, and helping me realize that this was never just about what her grandparents have said. My girlfriend's behavior is unacceptable, and I will be having a talk with her tomorrow, which will ultimately end in splitting up with her. I will post a short update tomorrow for anyone who is interested. Comments. Commenter 1 NTA. Stop apologizing and backing off whenever your girlfriend lies to your face and throws a tantrum to deflect from her obvious emotional cheating at the very least. Reply. Thank you for your reply. She has never really blown up on me before this instance, so I was shocked and didn't really know how to react. I didn't want to create a scene at her grandparents' house. I realize I could have continued to question her instead of backing off though. Commenter 2. NTA. When me and my boyfriend got together and I met his grandparents for the first time, they accidentally called me his ex's name, after being corrected. They not only never called me the wrong name again, but apologized profusely for their mistake. Something about this is off. Your girlfriend isn't telling you something, or better yet, is telling you something but not in plain words. She seems into this Alex guy. If roles were reversed and it was me in your position, I would not be cool with this edit. My boyfriend's grandparents are also very old. Reply. Thank you. I really hope she is not into Alex. Other than this instant, she has given me no reason to distrust her. What you are saying makes sense. I feel like the fact that they carried on calling me Alex despite correction indicates that either my GF talks about him a lot, or that something else is going on that I am not aware of. Commenter 2 reply. What makes me feel as though she may be into him is that instead of talking with you, she blows up on you at any mention or question. Why is she being so immediately defensive if, like you said, you've never had to question or give her a reason to be? At the end of the day, you know her better than I do. Maybe she is like that for anything you question or ask her about. Reply. She is not usually like this. That is what caught me off guard. She is a very open and honest woman. Her defensiveness was completely out of character for her. We have never had a big argument before this. I have always trusted her, and she has always trusted me. My reasons for being uncomfortable with Alex were because he insulted me frequently, not because I worried my girlfriend may be into him. What happened is making me question her honesty. Though, commenter 2 reply, all of it rubs me wrong. My boyfriend and I also have different first languages, and I am currently learning his. I would be mortified if one of his friends poked fun at my accent as I worked so hard to learn. I would not stand to be insulted on a regular basis by my boyfriend's friends. I'll finish by saying that I, a woman, have lots of male friends. Friends I've known for many years before I met my boyfriend, and my entire family has never, ever confused him with someone else. Because I made it very clear to everyone who my boyfriend is. Reply. I agree. My girlfriend has never really shown much of an interest in my home culture. She tried to learn my language but dropped it because she said it was too difficult. I didn't have a problem with it. I agree that her grandparents shouldn't have been getting me mixed up with Alex on multiple occasions. It makes me think she rarely talks about me. Or simply doesn't. They didn't even seem to recognize my name. Commenter 2 reply, I'll admit. I was hesitant to learn his language at first too, and only recently dove in head first, but knew I would need to eventually as to connect with his family and him a little bit more. His grandmother, same one from the story I mentioned, speaks almost no English at all, his culture though. We've always embraced that, so while that part may not be a red flag, the rest, in my opinion, is 2 years of relationship and she doesn't mention you enough. So little it seems that they didn't even seem to know about you. Trust your gut. Do what you think is best. With the information you have, you got this side note. Good on you for learning English, reply. Thank you. It's nice to be appreciated for the effort I put into learning English. I still struggle with grammar sometimes, but I feel as though I've improved since I moved here and talked to locals and my professors. The plan is to have a sit-down talk with her and lay out why what she has done isn't okay. As I don't think a breakup without a talk first would be beneficial for either of us, reply. That sounds like a great idea. My final piece of advice, do not let her blow up. Get defensive and say something along the lines of, why are we even talking about this? If she immediately begins to cry uncontrollably, keep talking. You deserve to say what you need to say. Don't let her steamroll you. Commenter 3 NTA. There's clearly something going on, especially if she gets that upset about you having questions, instead of wanting to make you feel comfortable. Don't waste time dealing with it, reply. Thank you. My main concern was this. Looking as though I was breaking up with her because of her grandparents' bad memory. Now I see that this is a much bigger issue in itself. And it's something I'll talk to her about. Ultimately, though, this relationship doesn't seem like it's going to work out. Update. Aita for considering breaking up with my girlfriend for what her grandparents said. Hi, I am writing this in my car, and what just happened completely baffled me. For context, about a day ago I wrote a post explaining that I had went to meet my girlfriend's grandparents, and they kept on calling me Alex, her boy best friend's name. Upon asking my girlfriend about it, she got defensive and has refused to speak to me since. My girlfriend got off of work early and messaged me asking to come pick her up. This is the first time she has messaged me first in days, I agreed, and drove to go pick her up. I waited in the customer section. She works in a bakery, and I noticed some of her co-workers giving me dirty looks. I brushed it off. When she got out, she was quiet. She got in my car with a huff and then asked if I could drive her to Alex's place, as him and some other friends were having a small gathering there. I admit this annoyed me. I told her flat out we needed to talk, and asked her if she wanted to go to my place to do so. She told me anything I had to say. I could say it now, so that's what I did. I told her that her behavior over the past few days had been unacceptable. Her refusal to talk to me, how she blew up at me for just asking simple questions. This is where the conversation got weird. She told me that her grandparents had been waiting to meet Alex, and that's why they got confused, much different to her loss of memory excuse in my earlier post. I asked her why she didn't just tell me that. She told me I wouldn't understand because I don't understand her relationship with Alex. I told her that yes, I do not understand her relationship with Alex, how she lets him insult me, and how she carries on defending him. She told me that people over here make fun of each other, and I wouldn't understand because my culture is different. What? I told her that regardless of my culture, I wouldn't tolerate the disrespect from her friend, and the lying has led me to believe she is no longer trustworthy. I told her I have given her zero reason to lie to me. She started crying and promising me that nothing was going on between her and Alex. I was stunned, as this isn't what I was implying at all. I asked her why she had said that, and she broke down and admitted that Alex had been pressuring her to leave me for months now, saying she deserved better than someone like me. At this point I was done. I don't need this kind of drama. I told her to get out of my car and that we are done. She was crying, and she begged me not to leave her. Promised she'd cut Alex out of her life. Promised that their relationship was nothing but friendship. I said I didn't care, and I wanted no part in this anymore. Strangely, I didn't really feel sad ending the relationship. I actually feel pretty numb. Her attitude suddenly shifted. She hit my arm and told me I just didn't understand, and that Alex was right. She should have left me sooner, etc. I just told her to get out of the car. She was still crying, and she slammed the door pretty hard and stormed off. Now she's texting me, apologizing and promising we can work this out. I've had a couple of texts from mutual friends asking what happened, as my girlfriend F sent them texts calling me controlling and toxic. Why would she want to get back together with me if she's telling our friends that? I put my phone on Do Not Disturb, and am now writing this update. I don't feel sad right now, but maybe that's because I'm in shock. I wrote this update for the people who gave me the courage to leave this relationship. Thank you for all your advice. Edit. I told our mutual friends the story and shared the post with them. They said they always found her relationship with Alex weird. I also shared with them the texts my ex-girlfriend was sending me. They were immediately pissed that she was trying to play them fool. None of my mutual friends have took my ex-girlfriend's side, yet all of them have apologized to me for the unnecessary drama she was causing, and said they were going to keep their distance. A couple of our friends, we are a big group who did not reach out, have blocked me on socials. Guess the trash took itself out. For now, I'm feeling good. I have been hanging out with my cats and ordered takeout food. My roommate gets back from his parents' house tomorrow, so I will update him on the situation when I can, and ask him to be there when my ex-girlfriend collects her stuff. As for my ex-girlfriend, I sent her a text message, telling her to only contact me when she was going to collect her things. I muted her texts and calls, and will only check again when she's due to come and get her things. Once that's over, I will block her. I'm feeling pretty good about my decision now. Thank you for all the comments. I will respond to as many as I can. I may have another small update on the weekend, as my ex-girlfriend F and I are attending the same house party for Halloween. For now, take care, and thank you to everyone who has commented and or messaged me. Comments, commenter 1, share her text messages with your mutual. Let them know she wants to get back with you, and you do not understand why, since you are so toxic and controlling, and stay away from her. She has too many red flags, reply thank you. I will be staying away from her, and as for my friends, I plan to show them this post and my girlfriend's texts once I'm in a better headspace. I don't care what she tells her family or Alex about me, but I won't let her try to manipulate my friends. Commenter 2. Hey man, you set your boundaries and put your foot down, and I'm proud of you for that. Alex is a chump and seems to be manipulating her for malicious reasons. Unless she's lying about your relationship to Alex like she did to your mutual friends. Suspicious behavior nonetheless. Glad you're out of that situation. I hope you find what you deserve. Don't lose yourself. Remember, you are the embodiment of proof that the love you seek out there exists. Don't give up on that. Reply. Thank you so much. I really appreciate this comment. She probably is lying about our relationship. It wouldn't surprise me anymore. And as for me, I will be fine. Thank you for your kind words. Commenter 3. She just showed you who she is and what her choice is. You should believe her. Run. Do not let her back into your life. Reply. Don't worry. I will definitely not let her back into my life. She is not worth my time, which she has made clear. Commenter 4 NTA. Obviously. You handled this well. She and her family have issues. You don't need to spend any more time immersed in them. Also, you do not owe her privacy regarding mutual friends who she's involving to pressure you. If she's telling one story, tell the truth, and share the texts that back it up. You are about to find out who your friends really are, and who really aren't. Reply thank you. I will explain the story to my friends when I am in a better headspace. Their messages were neutral. They just wanted to know what had happened. I value my friends and they are very smart people. They will likely limit contact with my girlfriend after I tell them the truth. Stories number 6, my 26. FX boyfriend 27M and roommate 25F are still hanging out and it's bothering me. TLDR, my ex-boyfriend 27M and my roommate 25F met through me. We all used to hang out together and do things like ski, run, watch TV. The two of them are hanging out still and doing the things that we all used to do together, and it is bothering me. So, first of all, I want to give a disclaimer that I know this is a matter of whose needs will be put first, mine versus roommate and ex. I also know that I cannot control who people hang out with, nor do I want to. I just need some help processing the situation and help setting boundaries. Here's the situation. My ex-boyfriend, we dated for 10 months. Roommate, 7 months of living together, and myself have been hanging out together a lot lately. We all enjoy similar activities like hiking, running, and skiing. A lot of our free time was spent together. 2 weeks ago, the three of us went on an overnight trip with 2 days of skiing and some sightseeing. Sometimes my roommate and my boyfriend would do things just the two of them, especially since they were more skilled at athletic activities compared to me. This past Sunday, he came over to my apartment to hang out with my roommate, and only told me after he organized things with her. I had no issues with this because I trusted both of them. 2 days ago, my ex somewhat blindsided me and broke up with me. I wouldn't say it was a mutual decision, but in hindsight it makes sense. I am obviously very hurt and sad. I am losing a huge part of my life and someone I cared about deeply. Apparently, he had been thinking about it for the past week and a half, and had even talked to my roommate about it. When my boyfriend and I broke up, I told him that I was uncomfortable with him still hanging out with my roommate. To me, it felt like something I couldn't have. Both him and the activities they are doing together that I would have loved to do was being dangled in front of my face. I told him that it would really hurt my feelings to have reminders of him and the family-like bond I had with them. He accused me of being controlling, which I do agree with to some extent. I also feel that my argument is fair, especially since they met through me and he was the dumper. Losing friends, roommates of your ex seems like a consequence of breaking up. I talked to my roommate for 2 hours last night and expressed all of my concerns. I even told her that I was concerned they would start liking each other and potentially date. I always saw chemistry between them, but I wasn't worried at the time if they were to start dating. I don't think I could live with her anymore. She was very understanding, but said she needs some time to think about what she is going to do. I'm just really upset and confused about this whole thing. I feel like if I were in her shoes, I would stop talking to the ex of my roommate, simply to be kind and help her heal. I also understand that they are friends and value each other outside of any relationship they have had with me. I'm asking for help in navigating this situation, and whether I am asking for something that is too much. Thank you. Relevant comments by OOP. The lease don't end until July 1st. I'm just hoping she comes home today and tells me she decided to honor where I'm coming from and we can just avoid this whole mess. I think this is possible, but I don't think they were having an affair. I also might not be able to move, financially speaking. It would probably take a while. Thanks. That is really nice of you to say. I'm looking forward to another relationship when I am ready. I'm hoping I can avoid some of the problems this one had, and I'll also be able to find someone who likes to do similar activities as me. They're pretty common, so I don't think it will be too difficult. I also emailed my therapist to start up appointments again. She previously released me from therapy about 10-11 months ago, but said I'm always welcome back. Is there anything else I can clear up? I asked my ex today if he left me for my roommate, and he said no. I do believe him because I don't think he would worry about telling me the truth. Even if it hurt me, he is also a very honest person. I think he just didn't want to date me anymore. I don't think that means he is not attracted to my roommate. I don't think my roommate a homewrecker, and I genuinely think she feels like she is in the middle of this mess when she didn't ask to be or want to be. Yay, I am going to talk to her again tonight. She said she wanted to talk to her therapist about it this afternoon. I also straight up asked my ex, and he said he didn't break up with me to date her. I think I do believe him in this case, simply because I think he would have no qualms about telling me if he did. I also don't think it was the trip that changed things. Everything went really well and we got along great. My boyfriend was very happy and affectionate toward me. I think it was just things generally not working out between us. I talked to my roommate again last night and she won't budge. I told her I was not happy with her, and I'm going to be upset and mad for a while. I also talked to my ex last night. He assured me that he didn't break up with me to be with her, nor does he have plans to date her. I do believe him, because I don't think he would have any problems telling me if that was the case. We agreed not to talk for 2 weeks. After that time, we are going to see where we're at, and I might start hanging out with the two of them again. This will be a mutual decision, and something that the three of us have already started to consider. I'm still furious at both of them, especially my ex, for letting someone into our relationship even if it wasn't so he could date her, and for not even being willing to understand my feelings. My roommate at least seemed to understand. I know that some of my frustration and anger is coming from being so hurt by the whole situation. The two of them felt like my family and it was taken away from me with no warning. Yay! Guess what? On Tuesday he got a new job and they literally will work in the same building. Haha, WTF. I actually asked if I could come with them this weekend to go skiing because fuck them. I was planning on going. My ex said he is thinking about it. Update. My 26F ex-boyfriend 27M and roommate 25F are still hanging out and it's bothering me. Here's a link to original post. In summary, my ex and my roommate decided that they will continue to hang out together. So, the past week has been really hard for me. I am thankful that my boss is giving me 2 days off to recover and get back on my feet. 48 hours after the breakup, I talked to my roommate and she said that while she understands how I feel, she will continue hanging out with him. I also talked to my ex and told him how uncomfortable I feel about the whole thing. He also said he understands, but thinks it's controlling of me to ask them not to hang out. Last week they hung out for 5 days for hours on end. They did respect my requests not to come inside the house when together, which I appreciate. Many posters suggested that they were having an affair. My ex claims that he did not break up with me to get with her. I did believe him at first, and maybe it was somewhat true. But I now think that something is going on and was going on. I found out that my roommate had a crush on my ex while we were dating, yet still continued to hang out with him alone while we were dating. I asked my ex while we were still dating if we could hang out just the two of us a little bit more, and I was accused then of being jealous and controlling. Turns out I was onto something. I suspect they are now trying to hide their relationship from me, though I cannot be sure. 2 days ago, I told my roommate that I no longer think it is healthy for me to live with her. She was fine with this and is asking around for places to stay. I will also consider leaving if she cannot leave. The most crushing thing about all this is that the two of them were people I considered best friends. This is also happening less than 2 weeks after the breakup. It feels weird and rude to me. Of course they are within their rights to do whatever, but I feel like I was betrayed, even before the relationship ended. Maybe in time I'll be happy for them. TLDR, ex and roommate hanging out still. I suspect something is going on, and now they're hiding it from me. Edit, you all are so kind. Thanks for the words of encouragement, tough love, and shared experiences. I am staying with a friend tonight and am hoping that the move-out situation goes smoothly. Living apart from my current roommate is the only viable option for me. Moving forward, I will also be cutting contact from both of them as soon as the living situation is settled. I am going to therapy tomorrow, and went last week, so I'm hoping that helps. I am so thankful I have off from work. It's been nice to just be able to rest. Edit 2. Roommate confirmed in a convo today that they are more than friends. Relevant comments by OOP. I'm absolutely not going to speak with either of them after she moves out or I move out. Blocked them from every social media. He said he didn't see a future with me. Despite enjoying the time we spent together, I'm not interested in being friends with her anymore. My amazing friends have been so helpful and supportive. I cannot imagine what things would be like if I didn't have them. I love them so dearly. My family is not the best and they live far away, which makes me sad. I'm honestly not interested in being friends with either of them. After what they are pulling now and what they might have done while I was still dating my ex, I'm just done with them. Oh, he's still not allowed in this place. I don't care if they're dating. That's one of the reasons one of us needs to leave. Yep. They were back at it with a full day of hanging out 9 a.m. 11 p.m. 4 days later. Yay, I didn't have much of a choice. My ex would be over and I would invite my roommate to join us in whatever we were doing. We had a group chat and talked frequently. It was really nice and felt like our little family. It seemed like the right thing to do at the time, and I was so thrilled 2 people I cared about were getting along. I think I may have learned my lesson, though. OOP later talked about the situation in 2 comments. My ex left me for my then roommate a little over a year ago. The relationship wasn't great, but the situation hurt me deeply. I think I was most upset about my roommate effectively turning on me, especially since I later found out she was interested in my boyfriend while I was dating him. I was so angry and disgusted. It took a toll on my self-esteem, and it was hard for me to trust for a while. I was single for a while. I did a lot of interesting things over the summer, like hiking and camping solo. I dated a bit, but not too much, mostly due to COVID. I'm now dating a wonderful man. I met him about 4 months ago. I am so glad to have found him. It took me a while to get to the place where I could welcome someone into my life, but I eventually got there. My ex also gaslit me. He was hanging out with my roommate when I wasn't home, and everything we did together was the 3 of us. When I told him I felt uncomfortable, I was accused of being controlling. I believed it. Turned out that they were in the early stages of their relationship. Stories number 7, Aita for wanting my fiancé's sister out of the wedding. My fiancé 24F and I 24M just recently got engaged, so we have started to pick out our wedding party. Yesterday, my fiancé said she wanted her sister 22F to be her maid of honor. Her sister lived with us for a while when she was going to college, which is near our apartment. Due to certain issues with her school's housing, we agreed to let her stay with us, as it would only be for a semester. I had only met her a few times before this, but she seemed nice. However, once she moved in with us, that's where things started. She would say things like, "You would look good in that," or, "I wish I could find someone like you." During the few months it divulged into her accidentally walking in on me in the shower, spilling things on me so that I have to change clothes, saying that she should be in my fiancé's shoes, and constantly making comments about my body. I told my fiancé about these things multiple times because it made me uncomfortable, but she kept dismissing me. I also brought these concerns to her sister, But she kept playing it off as a joke. Nothing changed, but luckily, she moved out once she could go back to the dorms. When my fiancé mentioned that she wanted her sister as MOH, I said that I'm not comfortable with that. I told her everything I've brought up before, and said that her sister might try to ruin the wedding because of this huge crush, if that's even the right word that she has on me. I also said that maybe I'd be okay with she being involved in the wedding in some other way, but I don't feel comfortable with her being that involved, and so close to both of us. I said that it's her choice, but that is how I feel about it. So my fiancé said, I've told you before, this is normally how she is. I want to keep her as my MOH. Then I said, what if you were uncomfortable around my brother best man? Wouldn't you want him to be out of the wedding party? She said, well, yeah, but that's your brother we're talking about. So it actually makes sense. For context, my brother is married with kids, and he is a truly nice guy. My fiancé has met him plenty of times, and not once has he done anything that would make her uncomfortable, nor has my fiancé brought up concerns about him. So I said, what the hell is that supposed to mean? And she said, I mean, I just don't like him very much. It's nothing against him. So I told her that there is a double standard here. My brother could get kicked out of the wedding party for just my fiancé not liking him, while her sister can't get kicked out of it for her practically sexually harassing me. I said that she should understand that I want our wedding to go well. So that means I want us to enjoy ourselves without questioning if something will go wrong, she said. I get that, but having my sister as my MOH would make me happy. I said that if she won't take my happiness into account, then I'm leaving. So as I was leaving, she told me that I was an asshole. Relevant comments, commenter 1 NTA. You are exactly right. There is a double standard here. It doesn't seem like your brother has done anything wrong, while your future sister-in-law has, actually plenty of times at that. Your fiancé is not taking your concerns or happiness into account. People often dismiss men being sexually harassed, which is not okay, and that is exactly what your fiancé is doing. Everything is about family for her, but when it comes to your family, she gets to decide for you. You have every right to be concerned about this. Stand your ground. OP reply. I don't get why my fiancé doesn't like my brother. She never gave a reason. She's always seemed to put her family first, in every situation. I'm really questioning this relationship. Commenter 2. NTA, she's dismissing your concerns and issues with the sister, and straight up having a double standard when it comes to your brother that wasn't sexually harassing her. Something just popped in my mind though. Could your fiancé have asked the sister to do those things to test you? Either way, you're not the AH. Reply, I'm not sure. It's entirely possible either way. I'm questioning why she would do this to me. Commenter 3 info. Why are you marrying someone who is okay with you being sexually harassed, and wants your harasser to be a big part of the wedding? She should be sticking up for you. This isn't a good sign. Reply. This was the only issue in our relationship. When her sister lived with us, she really had nowhere to go. So I assumed that my fiancé just wanted to put up with it until she was gone. When she mentioned the MOH thing, that's when I got worried. Commenter 4 no. I haven't officially yet when I said that I'm leaving. I left to go to a friend's house to cool down. I'm seriously considering breaking things off after this. Deleted comment. Reply. I asked about my brother because I noticed some hesitancy on her part when I wanted him to be best man. So it might have been an actual thought of hers. Update. It's been a little over a month since I last posted here, and many people have been asking me for some updates. After seeing all of the responses, I realized that I was not the AH, which I was unsure of from the beginning. The day after I posted, I called my fiancée to see if we could meet up to talk, and she agreed. During our meetup, I decided to tell her about the post, which she was somewhat shocked about. I mentioned that the comments were eye-opening for me, and I realized that she has never taken my feelings into account. Not just with the wedding. I said that she has practically put her sister before me on many occasions. Even with my concerns, she said that she understood, but she feels that her feelings mattered more here. She said that this is her family I am judging, and since she is the woman in the relationship, her emotions should be catered to. I asked her why this can't be the reverse for me when discussing my family, but she couldn't give me an explanation for that. I said that this incident was the tipping point for me, and since she wouldn't apologize for what happened, then things will not work out for us. I asked for my ring back, which she did with no emotions and nothing else to say, and I walked out. I have to admit, the holidays were a little rough for me, but I had a lot of family and friends that were there for me. Over time, I grew to learn that this was just a bump in the road, and that I should move on. I plan to start dating again. So wish me luck. Stories number 8. Creepy security guard kept harassing my female coworkers. Creepy guard kept harassing my female coworkers over the phone. I got tired of it and decided to play his game. He didn't like it. For context, I've worked in CCTV monitoring for the better part of the last decade. This particular exchange took place right around the beginning of COVID. It's pretty routine for us to collaborate with physical security guards on properties we monitor. Guards usually call when they're arriving, leaving the property, or preparing to do their rounds, so our operations center is aware of the activity. There was this one particular guard on the West Coast, we'll call him Gary, who would always try to flirt with my female coworkers if they were unlucky enough to get his calls. A lot of it was typical old man stuff, calling them beautiful instead of their names, commenting on their pretty voices. But over time he started getting bolder, and was going from just annoying to straight up creepy, if I remember right. The tipping point was when he asked one of my coworkers about what she was wearing. As if she showed up to her office gig in lingerie and fishnets. She sidestepped the question and finished the call with way more professionalism than that dickhead deserved, then told the rest of us what had happened. I could tell she was kind of shaken up by the interaction, since we work nights. There wasn't really anyone she could report it to right away, and by the end of her shift she just wanted to go home, so it didn't go anywhere. Cut to the next shift, around 9 p.m., which was his usual call time. The phone rang and Gary's number popped up. By that point, we had his number memorized, and most of the people in the room were reluctant to take the call. I don't even know what got into me, but I picked up the phone and put on this over-the-top, sassy, flirty voice, sort of like him from Powerpuff Girls. Given my deepish voice, side note, Gary had a cringe nickname for himself, Mr. World Security, which I took to be a play on his company's name, changed slightly so I don't dox him. We knew what he looked like because 1. We see him on camera just about every night, and 2, during one of his earlier attempts to flirt with one of the girls, he shared the URL to his shitty WordPress website for his security business, and on the landing page was a picture of him in his security uniform, flexing his biceps. I really wish I was joking, but the guy's ego was just that massive. I decided to use this knowledge to my advantage. "Well, hello, Mr. World Security," I said. "How are you and those big chocolatey muscles doing tonight?" I could feel his discomfort through the phone. He replied with, "Hello, sir. I have arrived and will be beginning my rounds. Sir RR. I refused to let him off that easy. "What's wrong, Garbear? Not in the mood to play tonight? I was hoping we could keep each other company for a little while, you know? Have a little fun, giving borderline phone sex hotline energy." I swear, I don't know where any of this came from. This little character just jumped out and took the wheel. By this point, you could almost hear his paper-thin masculinity shattering. In an aggressive, offended tone, he said, "Listen, bro, I don't know what you heard, but I don't get down like that. This ain't that, so you need to start acting accordingly." That's when I dropped the act, and in my normal voice said to him, "Yeah, man, I totally get it. I wouldn't want to make anyone feel uncomfortable by flirting with them against their will during what should be a professional conversation. That would be a really not cool." He went quiet for a bit, then just said, "Okay, I get you. Understood." I told him to have a good night and hung up the phone. After I hung up, I looked around and realized the whole room had been listening in on the call. We all just kind of looked at each other and smiled before the room erupted into laughter. A few of the women even thanked me. He called back later that night and the conversation was short, concise, and professional. It pretty much stayed that way until our contract with that site ended a few months later. It's been about 4 or 5 years since that night. I've since been promoted out of direct operations. But every once in a while someone in the office will greet me with, "Well, hello, Mr. World Security," in that sassy voice, and we still get a good laugh out of it. Long story short, some people really can't stand the taste of their own medicine. Update: thank you guys for all the love in the comments. I didn't really take into account how universal this experience must be for women in the workplace. I'm glad my post could bring you a bit of catharsis. I help manage this company now, and I'm very clear with the employees about my open door policy. I have zero tolerance for mistreatment in any capacity, and do my best to make sure the environment is safe for anybody that walks in the door. You guys reminded me why this is so important to me, so thank you. Comments, commenter 1, I even at old lady age, have what is considered a fairly sexy voice. On those rare occasions when I've had men, and it is always men, make off-color comments, I drop into stern old lady voice and say, "Son, I'm old enough to be your mother, grandmother. Do I need to come over and smack you with my cane to make the point?" They usually drop out of the voice chat. I'm mostly talking gamers, not professional space as in your case, and probably talk shit about that bish Rubitix, but sometimes getting to the age where you have zero fucks to give is an actual superpower. You did great, Mr. World Security Commenter 2. As a woman, I have always told guys that if you don't like a gay dude behaving towards you the way you are behaving towards me, then your behavior is not acceptable. Thank you for this. Commenter 3. Reminds me of someone I know who worked in a lot of libraries. He was 6'3" and bisexual, and anytime he would see men harassing the younger librarians, he would walk over and start acting flirty towards the men. It startled them, and they didn't think they should cross him at his size, so they would leave. Commenter 4. That was the perfect way to handle it, matched his energy, made your point, and shut him down without crossing any lines. Well played, Stories number 9. I cannot stand my girlfriend's gym, food, beauty influencer fake online persona. I met my girlfriend on Hinge about 6 months ago. Of course, people put their best photos up, and I'm always cautious. There's so many filters people use to alter their looks. No, it isn't just angles and lighting and makeup and so on, like people will gaslight you and say it is. Filters do magic. I'm a millennial guy, and my photos are as honest as they get. I have never been in a rush to get dates, or felt the need to lie with my pictures. I've been catfishes a handful of times, and meeting my current girlfriend F was really no different. Her pictures look sorta like her IRL, but clearly she took some creative liberties. Regardless, we hit it off, and I never brought up her profile made up of pics from her in college. Didn't know that at the time, and for the current photos, she used a slimming filter along with the beauty face slimming filter. The problem? She's got a pretty massive following on TikTok and IG, and promotes a lifestyle and positivity that's clearly made up. She makes a lot of money lying and people eating it up. Does she go to the gym? Yes. For little clips to post. Does she only eat what she cooks in videos? Absolutely not. Most of the time I eat them, as she hates fish and broccoli and rice. Every single video and picture are heavily edited. Even the audio recording software brings her voice pitch up a little bit. She did a weight loss journey for a summer body last year, and she told me how she did it. She used a filter making her slightly larger, and drank a ton of milk beforehand to look super bloated, and then just casually edited videos over time looking thin. She lost 0 weight during the time, and everyone, and I mean everyone, was complimenting her in the comments. She even manufactured drama in the past for views. I got robbed, and I got catcalled by the gym manager. Oh, she has like 7 videos falsely saying some guy hit on her at the gym. Not assaulted her, but like hit on her when it didn't happen. How do I know? She told me it gets crazy engagement and views. She deletes any negative comments or ones that mention filters, IDK. I could go on and on and on. Maybe I'm just ranting to say, ladies and gentlemen, please stop believing what you see that influencers post. Most of it can be or is lies. I've been getting the courage to ask her to move out, but am worried how she will react. I know she will make posts online, and I fear what that may entail. But meh, such is life, I guess. Don't believe any influencer even if they seem genuine. Lol, you literally don't know them. And you literally cannot tell who is genuine. Edit. Why have I been with her? She's a sweet and funny girl. I really love the time we spend together. She's obsessed with social media though. Anytime we have discussed it, she gets incredibly nasty and turns it to, "You're just jealous because you don't have social media." I literally don't have a personal page on anything and don't care to. I hate how this is how she makes lots of money. Lying. None of it is real. Commenter 1. I don't understand why you're dating her. She doesn't sound desirable at all. Reply, in hindsight now, IDK, what I was thinking, she's a sweet and amazing person to hang out with, and we had loads of similar interests. I guess I didn't know the extent of her online presence. Never have a fuck until a recent fight. After she rubbed it in my face, I did a look at her profiles, and it was something I probably should have done a time ago. It's someone I don't know. Planning to break up this weekend when she gets back in town. Commenter 2. You will be the subject of a video when you break up. Reply, yep. I blame myself a bit for maybe not going through her social media and doing more diligence, but meh. The only thing that worries me in this day and age is getting doxxed. I don't care if she makes some my ex and I broke up, but will absolutely lawyer up if my name gets dropped. Commenter 3. I don't think I would be okay with myself if I kept dating someone who contributes to toxic false expectations and is straight up lying about how to approach health and self-care. Your girlfriend is a fraud. Have you watched the limited series Apple Cider Vinegar? Based on actual events, It's a tale of two different women being farther down the same fucked up health influencer rabbit hole your girlfriend is rimming. Reply, oh yeah, I never really thought to go through her backlog of videos until recently. When I looked at her before she left for a trip, it was like staring at someone I've never really known. I cannot in good faith date her. My issue I'm overcoming is just waiting for her to return from a trip and nicely breaking it off. I have zero online presence and want to be this way. I have a huge feeling she'll make drama content out of it and just hope she doesn't go full crazy. She's just a fake person contributing to harmful stereotypes and is addicting to fame online. I haven't seen that. I'll give it a watch today as I'm off work and bored. Commenter 4. And there are little girls out there who watch videos like hers and think they are real and develop eating disorders, hate themselves, and do extreme and dangerous things to themselves to be like her. Is that the kind of person you want to be with? Imagine you had a little sister who wanted to be like her. Would you be okay with that, knowing how fake her BS is? I really wish these influencers could be held accountable for posting stuff that doesn't have speck of truth to it. Your girlfriend is not a good person. Reply. Oh yeah, I gotta be honest. I'm not on social media and never really gave a fuck about what she did on it until now. It was a recent fight that got me interested, and I went through the catalog and was shocked to find out who I was dating. I think what makes me the most angry are the comments tearing down anyone that says anything negative about her. It's like toxic positivity. Some comments have questioned her stories, for instance, and the wave of people that jump to her defense is kind of crazy. It doesn't help she deletes comments when she can. It's like scary how genuine she comes across online. Stories number 10. I'm super disappointed in the groom and angry for the bride. Went to a Halloween wedding that requested people come in costumes. I thought it was fun, but still a wedding. So I made effort to make sure we had nice costumes that would look nice in photos years from now. Literally, maybe only 5 people including the bride wore actual costumes that looked nice. Actually fit them. The vast majority of people were wearing literal footy pajamas or regular clothes with a random superhero mask or cat ears. We had almost a year of advance notice for this wedding. It wasn't last second. Even the photographer seemed perplexed by some of these costumes. The groom who we knew wore an ill-fitted Spirit of Halloween costume that didn't match the bride at all. He didn't write his vows, was surprised he was expected to have it, and didn't tell his half of the wedding party they were in the wedding party until less than 5 minutes before the ceremony. At first, I thought maybe the wedding was just more casual than the groom led us to believe. Then I saw the bride. You can tell she put so much effort into her costume. Homemade, she had a heartfelt speech prepared. They had a professional photographer arranged and everything. She didn't seem upset, and I'm glad for that. But I was super disappointed in how uninvolved the groom appeared to be in the whole affair. Dude had no idea what they were doing. When, etc., I was super disappointing in how many people were dressed like it was a frat house Halloween party and not a wedding. Maybe the bride literally gave zero shits what anyone, including the groom, did. I want to believe she was happy with the outcome. I don't want to believe she trusted everyone else, including the groom, to be adults, and they just half-assed everything. Comments, commenter 1. I'm a fire dancer at a costume-themed wedding a few years ago. Everyone came in force to that wedding wonderfully dressed up. Not surprised, though. The couple getting married were long-time burners. This wedding also had a llama, the groom's favorite animal. This was a gift from the bride and a contortionist for the reception doing several sets. I was also there to read tarot for 2 or 3 hours during the reception, which a lot of was fun. These weddings themes can absolutely work, but you gotta know the guests. If you have a large family of conservative introverts, they aren't going to live up to the theme. Commenter 2, I'm sorry, maybe the groom just has issues. But it sounds like he didn't care that much about getting married. These women have got to stop accepting scraps from men. Commenter 3. I don't blame them for requesting costumed guests if that's what they want. But they should have anticipated a serious lack of effort from guests who didn't share their vision, and just wanted to attend a wedding, and/or had no interest in being in their pictures. Although I personally would have declined to attend rather than come in costume or come in street clothes. No excuse for the groom not telling people they were expected to be participants, though. Commenter 4. Honestly, I would have been one of those people wearing cat ears with a regular dress. I'm not coming in anything over the top if I don't know how the rest of the guests will be dressed. Who wants to get stuck walking around in full costume among a bunch of strangers wearing regular clothes? IMO, this theme lends itself to frat house Halloween party. How classy can it be if everyone in the audience is an inflatable T-Rex or Cookie Monster? Most people are something silly for Halloween, and would expect something fun and casual if I was asked to come in a costume. Stories number 11. Aita for telling my brother he can't bring his new girlfriend to Christmas after what happened at Thanksgiving. So my brother Jake, 32M, has been dating this girl Melissa for maybe 4 months. We met her for the first time at Thanksgiving at my parents' house. The whole day was just kind of uncomfortable, like she made comments about everything. My mom's turkey was too dry for her taste. She asked if we always use store-bought rolls. She mentioned twice that her family does a full seafood spread instead of traditional Thanksgiving food. Which, like, okay, good for you. But the thing that really got me was she kept correcting my 5-year-old daughter. My daughter was talking about her school play and said something like, "Me and my friend are gonna be trees." And Melissa jumps in with, "Your friend and I?" "Sweetie," in this really condescending voice. Then later my daughter said she'd done it, and Melissa did it again. "You did it." I finally pulled Jake aside and asked him to maybe tell her to ease up on the grammar lessons with my kid. And he got defensive and said Melissa's a teacher and she's just trying to help. I said she's not her teacher, and it's making my daughter feel bad. She overheard us talking and left right after that. Didn't say bye to anyone, just grabbed her coat. Jake followed her out and they left like an hour early. Now Christmas is coming up and my mom asked me if I'm okay with Melissa coming. Apparently Jake said he won't come if she's not invited. I told my mom honestly that I'd rather she didn't come. At least not this year. We barely know her and Thanksgiving was awkward enough. My mom's upset because she doesn't want Jake to skip Christmas. But she also doesn't want tension. Jake texted me yesterday saying I'm being unfair and punishing Melissa for caring about education. And if she's not welcome, then he's not coming. My husband says I should just let it go for the sake of family peace, but I don't want another holiday feeling uncomfortable in my own parents' house. ITA for not wanting her there. Commenter 1 NTA, but if you're having conflict, here's a thought. Give her one more chance. Now that she knows her attitude came off wrong. See if she does better this time. If she does, maybe you'll find out she was just nervous or having a bad day. It happens. But if not, then Jeski can't claim she wasn't given a fair chance. And if he keeps threatening to skip a gathering again, let him. Commenter 2. I would text your brother and say, look, if she is a teacher, she should understand that correcting a kid like that, in that setting, could make them feel bad. Also, she may have been nervous, and maybe that's why, but she was being very judgmental about a lot of stuff. Mom's turkey was too dry, asking if we always use store-bought rolls and all the grammar correcting. It did not make the best impression. If she's willing to realize her comments came off offensive and tries to dial back the unnecessary comments, I would be willing to start fresh. However, walking out and not addressing the problem is not the way to handle it. Commenter 3. NTA, she met your family for the first time and literally decided to insult your mom's cooking and condescend a meal she was invited to. She's a rude guest and your brother is being a pushover. Commenter 4. Just tell your brother that she is invited, but her behavior is not. She embarrassed herself at Thanksgiving and she would do well to enjoy the day without correcting anybody for Christmas. If she can't do that, then she will be asked to leave. Stories number 12. AIT for ruining a vacation for my future MIL. I 25F am I mixed individual who was born and raised in South Africa. Specifically Cape Town. My family and I moved to Canada when I was 16, and it was when I was studying here for university that I met my fiancée 24M. My fiancée's mom 54F has always been someone who loves to travel. So I wasn't surprised when at our last family dinner, she announced her plans to take the family on vacation again. However, she announced that this year's family trip would be to Cape Town. I was immediately concerned for a number of reasons. As someone who grew up there, I can confirm that the area has high crime rates and can be very dangerous, especially if you are a woman, and I know she is planning on taking her daughter 17F with her. I was shocked when she mentioned that this was her plan. She immediately began asking me questions. What did I think about the vacation? Did I want to come with them? What should she pack? I was and still am very concerned for her safety, as she isn't exactly a street-smart person. It must have been clear on my face because she asked why I looked so shocked. I told her outright that if I was her, I would reconsider the destination, as while it is gorgeous, it is not a safe place to travel to without prior experience or a close friend to help you, especially with a teenage girl in your travel party. Almost immediately she accused me of being rude and discouraging. She said that she had been excited about this trip and I was trying to ruin it for her. She even went as far as to imply that my mixed heritage had tainted how I viewed the city. My fiancé and I left immediately. He says I did the right thing by trying to keep them safe, but I still feel awful. Commenter 1 NTA. She asked what you thought. You told her. You weren't trying to be mean or rain on her parade. You were trying to keep her safe. Commenter 2 NTA. You're protecting her from her own ignorance. Rather she be offended than murdered. She's being incredibly naive about the safety risks in a place like Cape Town for a non-local. Commenter 3 NTA. Gather some resources on travel to the region, and have your BF text her with the links. The more links the better. And have him write another text telling her, here is what OP was talking about, and I expect you to give her an apology for knowing more information about the place she grew up in than you do. And especially for your radicalized comments. You embarrassed yourself and me with your ignorance. Commenter 4. Cape Town is a very popular tourist destination. I've been there and had no issues. To be fair, she did ask. So nah, but why TA if you keep pushing the point? Stories number 13. I-25 posted a bunch of creepy texts guys have sent me onto Facebook and Instagram. I went to college for computer engineering and got a job in the industry afterwards. In college, my internships and my job, I've dealt with sexual harassment, and I've had to get tough with people, telling them to stay the fuck away when I get the first whiff of sketchiness. Every time I've gotten a creepy text or instant message from another student or coworker, I've screenshotted it and backed it up in Google Drive just in case it escalates. That's helped me a few times when someone started to follow me around in college, and when someone took things so far at work that I decided to go to HR. I don't report most of the shit though. I don't want it to look bad like I'm always running to HR. Last night, I got really drunk with my friend because I had a day off planned for today. I went home in a kind of bad mood because we'd been talking about how she was going through similar shit at work. I was in a fuck it all mood, and I uploaded my whole folder of screenshotted text messages to Facebook and Instagram, with the caption, phone and inbox of a female computer engineer, and tagged all the men who had sent me messages, whose social media I could find. Some of the highlights were a bunch of married men hitting on me and me replying, dude you're married, or something along those lines. Some guys asking me out and then taking rejection badly. Some guys who would text me repeatedly even though I just replied, don't contact me, other than for work purposes, sexually explicit messages, or messages commenting on my appearance out of the blue. Overall, just messages from people ignoring my wishes to be left alone. This morning, I woke up to my phone blowing up. I had planned to take a vacation day off work today. A lot of the guys I'd tagged in my social media posts had contacted me demanding or pleading that I remove the posts. Most everyone had untagged themselves. The Facebook post had gotten some attention from my friends, but my 2 Instagram posts I had to make 2 to fit all the photos had blown up. I had a lot of new followers, a lot of strangers commenting on my post, mostly supportive. I also had an email from HR at work asking me to meet with them first thing Monday morning. I replied to say that I would. I don't know what to expect there at all. I have not replied to any other messages about my posts. I need some advice. Should I speak to the guys who texted me about the posts? Some are very angry with me because they are married and their wives found out. I'm thinking it's safest to not. Should I leave the posts up? Or remove them? Or wait to see how things go with HR before I decide? Should I be worried for my safety? I feel a little nervous, but I don't know if I'm overreacting. TLDR. I posted an album on social media, a collection of creepy texts I have gotten from men in my field of study and work. Edit to explain something. Quite a few of these men were not under my current company's control, such as classmates and a TA from college, men I knew from summer internships at different companies, and a guy from a past job. Out of the 4 people from my current job, I reported him to HR actually. 2 and 3 married men who asked me out or hit on me outside of work hours, and did not present a problem at work that did not seem like HR's domain. 4, a guy who asked me out outside of work hours and got mildly passive-aggressive over text when I rejected him, but did not bring his bullshit into the office. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, ask HR what it's about. Can your social media be connected to your identity and job? Reply, my social media has my real name, but I have not mentioned my company or any of my past jobs or internships on their. Commenter 2, how are all these students and coworkers getting your cell number? I didn't think it was possible to tag someone on FB if you weren't friends. Delete the post. Do not speak with the guys. Talk to HR and see where to go from there. Reply, not all of them contacted me by text. Some sent me messages on various instant messaging platforms I've needed for jobs or college classes. Out of the people who do have my number, a lot were students. It was very common in college to exchange numbers with your group for group projects. and some are employees at my current job, which involves travel, because we do not have work cell phones, and it is easier to keep in touch with personal phones sometimes. You're right about Facebook. I added some people, mostly students and other interns, not current coworkers, before I knew them well, and when they turned out to be creepy, I kept them on FB to keep an eye on them. Like to know that they're out of town and staying that way? For example, update to recap my last submission. I posted an album of creepy texts I'd received from men in my field, computer engineering. Some from classmates and a TA in college, some from people I met through internships and professional development activities, and some I know through my current job. I had been so fed up with the sense of shame and being silenced and not believed about sexual harassment, and for what it's worth, putting a large collection of harassing and threatening texts in the public eye, raw and unedited, made them difficult to ignore or explain away. After that post, I got a meeting invitation from my company's HR department. For this Monday, a lot happened over the weekend. I did a lot of research into employment law. I read through the whole company handbook again, and for each person I mentioned in my social media posts, I wrote out a detailed account of their behavior towards me for my own reference. Stuff that had not been said over text, I also screenshot and backed up any angry or threatening text towards me that I received this weekend from the men whose old texts I'd posted online. I think it's worth giving some background on the 4 people included in my social media posts that I knew from my current job. Coworker 1. A few months ago, I had reported him to HR for sexual harassment in the past, and he was moved off my team to another position in the company where he would not have any contact with me. He had signed a paper saying that he must not contact me for any reason, whether that is work-related or not. I didn't sign anything during this process. The messages from him that I posted on Facebook were old texts from him to my personal phone, making a comment about how I looked nice at work and how I must have been dressing up for him. I'd replied that I was not. He asked me who I was dressing up for at work, if not him, because then he'd know who to be jealous of. I said myself and told him to stop texting me on my personal phone. A few days later, he sent me a message telling me my new hair color was hot and asking me to drinks. That was a small snippet of creepy things he'd sent me. There was plenty more that I didn't post. I found out today that he was the one who showed HR my posts. As I understand it, he had assumed I had signed a similar no-contact agreement that he'd had to. I had not ever made that agreement, in writing or vocally. I'd just not been talking to him because I had no desire to. Coworker 2, he was married, and in the office, he didn't seem to do anything out of line. He had my number since I would be traveling for work and wanted my team members to be able to contact me. We don't have work cell phones out of the blue. He texted me, asking me to join him at a fancy seafood restaurant when I returned from my work trip. It sounded like a date. I texted back, you're married, and he said some shit about how nobody would have to know, and how I seemed like a girl who could keep a secret. I told him to fuck off. He was fired a week later for unrelated reasons, so while I'd been thinking about going to HR, I never did. I haven't heard from him since. Even after my social media post, Coworker 3, he was also married. One time I was at a work happy hour and I left pretty early. He texted me on my work instant messaging platform, which I have on my phone, asking me to go party with him. I asked, "Is your wife coming?" and didn't get a response. I didn't think it was bad enough to report to HR as sexual harassment, because something usually has to be done repeatedly to qualify as harassment, unless it is something egregious. That was in the company handbook. In less concise words, that text exchange was included in my post. After my post, he sent me a slew of threatening texts. Apparently his wife had seen the post, and I had ruined his family. He said that I was about to get what was coming for me real soon, and to watch out, which sounded like a threat. Also called me a couple homophobic slurs. I'm openly bisexual, Coworker 4. He had just broken off an engagement. I didn't hear that from him, just through the rumor mill. He contacted me asking me if I wanted to go out, and I said that he wasn't really my type to date. He said that he wasn't looking for anything serious, just casual sex. I didn't reply for a few hours, and then he sent me a second text saying, "Well then go ahead and be a bitch and leave me on red." Since it happened outside of work, and was not any kind or repeated harassment, I also didn't think that it would be reasonable to bring it to HR unless I saw a pattern of similar behavior. He didn't contact me again, even after my post. As for people from past jobs, internships or classes, my college contacted me about my old TA who had tried to hook up with me repeatedly, and stopped helping me with the course when it was clear he wasn't getting anywhere. They asked me if I'd give a statement. Apparently he was still doing that shit, and someone else had reported him. And they saw from my post that I'd likely have something to report too. A married guy who tried to get with me when I was an intern at another company sent me some really angry and threatening texts. I have to figure my Instagram post with his public Instagram account tagged caused problems in his marriage. I definitely have been taking extra steps to stay safe when I'm leaving my apartment or going anywhere. I'm considering reporting this to the police because it was the most overtly threatening thing I've received. A few other people I tagged sent me texts telling me how shitty it was not to keep private conversations private, etc. I ignored all those. As for what happened this morning, in my HR meeting, I was all ready to go in with metaphorical guns blazing, defend everything I'd said or done with sources from the company handbook, such as how I did not violate the company's social media policy, as it only prohibited pretending to speak for the company as a whole if PR is not your job, or reveal confidential code or design or business contracts online. I didn't mention my company in my post, or anywhere else on my social media. I was also ready to defend how I followed the guidelines of what is considered sexual harassment and should be reported, how I reported repeated harassment, but didn't report isolated incidents that were not extreme. The examples of extreme conduct included unwanted overtly sexual touching, or threats of violence. The handbook specifically mentioned that asking someone out once was not harassment, but the meeting ended up being much more low-key than I had been expecting. I'd taken down both posts Sunday as an act of good faith, though I doubted that would matter much. When I went in, I sat down and asked if I could record the meeting. The HR representative, I'll call her Beth here, but that's not her real name, of course, said, "Okay." She wanted to talk about each of the specific people I'd posted screenshots from, who work at the company. Those made up less than a third of my screenshots. FYI, first was coworker 1. The guy I had previously reported to HR and who had been moved to a different team and told that he must not speak to me or contact me. Beth said that he had brought the posts to her attention, as he was under the impression that the no-contact agreement went both ways. I reminded her that I had not entered into a written or verbal agreement. I was surprised it was him who brought it up, but I didn't say anything. She asked if there had been continued harassment or contact from him after my initial report. I said no. She moved on to the next quickly. Coworker 2 had been fired a while back for unrelated reasons, but Beth still asked if there had been any further conflict between us. While he was employed, other than the text messages, I said no. She asked me the same question about coworker 3. I told her that I had received texts from him on Saturday that came across as threatening and used several slurs about my sexuality. I gave her a printout of those messages, she read them, and immediately stepped out to show them to her manager. She came back after a few minutes to continue talking with me, and again for coworker 4. I told her that he had not contacted me after he said I was a bitch for leaving him on red. Beth asked me if I had any questions, and I basically asked what her next steps would be. She said that she would have asked me to remove the posts, so that things could be handled with discretion. However, I had already removed both prior to the meeting. She also said that she would be meeting again with coworkers 1 and 4. She also said that due to coworker 3's threatening comments, he had been escorted out of the building while we had been speaking. Fired. Apparently, he was already on record with them for another issue relating to his temper, and this was the last straw. She also asked me why I had not brought coworkers 2, 3, and 4 to her attention before, and I cited the section on harassment from the company handbook, saying that harassment was repeated unwanted comments or actions, and that a single event is not usually considered harassment unless it is extreme. The conversations with those 3 men had been isolated incidents. She asked me if I would be more comfortable taking a personal day for the rest of the day. While she speaks to coworkers 1 and 4, she said she wanted to make it clear that I was not being dismissed or escorted out. I was not getting fired. It was only a precaution so that I would not be around coworkers 1 and 4, in case either of them wanted to confront me personally. I said I would, so that's where I'm at right now. TLDR, had the meeting with HR relevant comments, commenter 1. I was surprised it was him who brought it up. Some people are incapable of conceiving of themselves as being in the wrong. That guy probably viewed his harassment of you as a mutual work disagreement that you both got in trouble for. He thinks conditions must have been placed on you because conditions were placed on him. It is inconceivable to him that he was the aggressor, and you were the victim. No, it doesn't make sense. Reply, lol, you are very right in saying he saw it more as a mutual disagreement. Initially, he tried to claim that I was harassing him back. for using profanity towards him like fuck off and don't say that shit to me. Commenter 2. I mean, how else would the company handle it? Woman posts proof of being harassed. The only reasonable response is to follow up and deal with the harassment. I'm sure they would have preferred you print out the texts and provide them to HR directly rather than blasting it on the internet. But that's really just a discretion thing. Reply. Some of the things I put online were things that did not qualify as harassment by their policy, i.e., an isolated incident that is not extremely bad, so I didn't feel like I should have gone straight to them. IDK, maybe they'll rethink what the threshold for something to qualify as harassment should be. Commenter 3. I'd err on the side of reporting stuff and letting them put it on the record. What if you're not the only one to come forward with a one-time example of unwanted attention? They'd likely take that pattern into account and act on it. Can't have employees treating the workplace as in-person Tinder when told to file a police report. Yay, I can't decide whether to file police reports on him and the other dude who sounded like he was threatening me. Stories number 14. Aita for refusing to help my brother. After his ex-girlfriend scammed him out of nearly half the equity of his house, I 37F have an older brother George 45 who isn't an idiot but he can be lazy. Definitely the type to rely on weaponized incompetence whenever women and girls are around. Example, he literally acted like he didn't know where our mom kept the paper plates in the house he lived in for nearly 20 years, just so she'd get up, go into the kitchen and make him his plate during the holidays. Just 1 week post her bunion surgery. Side note. They both tried to passive-aggressively make me feel guilty for not offering to fix my adult brothers so our mom wouldn't have to do it. Like I wasn't the only doing the most of cooking and would be doing most of cleaning afterwards. At age 30, George was given a windfall from our grandfather's estate. I got something too, and used it as a down payment for a nice 5-bedroom house, and that easily worth double now. During this time he met Melinda 50F, and she was a nice lady. Smart, responsible, hardworking, sweet, and very organized. She came into the relationship with a steady job, and was upfront about lack of ability to have more children after complications from nearly losing her life giving her to her daughter. George stated that he was okay with that, but whenever Melinda would bring up his hesitation regarding marriage, he'd say that he had complicated feelings about not being able to be a father if he chose to fully commit to her that he needed to process, saying that since he was willing to look over her fertility issues because he loved her, that she needed to show her love by waiting for him. That line worked for 12 years. After Melinda moved in, George demanded that she pay half the bills and part of his mortgage in exchanging for allowing Melinda's daughter to move in with her. At the time, Melinda had little options as her former landlord was raising the rent too high, and she was helping pay for her sister's medical bills. Melinda and George justified to everyone by saying what she would have had to pay to George was still cheaper in rent at her old place. I said nothing because not my relationship. 2 years ago, George was caught cheating and Melinda was furious, then left. I don't know all the details, but she came back seeming to work things out. Didn't stop George from cheating, but Melinda shrugged and said that this was still a better deal. And so long as kept it from the house, she's cope. Recently there was some type of damage to George's house, and he needed people to come in and fix it. But he hated the labor of searching for a reliable contractor, taking time away from his job hobbies to deal with them and the paperwork. Melinda offered to do it and he didn't question it. Whatever she gave, he signed, and in front of third-party witnesses, Melinda got George to sign paperwork stating that she was entitled to 45% of his house. Now she's dumped him and is demanding that George either sell his house or buy her out. George is trying to fight this, citing that he didn't fully understand what he was agreeing to, and he's found a lawyer willing to take his case, but his fees are expensive. George and our mom think that I should help, but I'm refusing. I don't see why I have to shell out thousands to save another grown man from his own lack foresight, especially when there's a good chance he won't even win. I'm being called heartless and a bad sister, so I have to ask Aita. Commenter 1 NTA. George had it coming, stringing that woman along for years, manipulating her by making her feel guilty over not being able to have more children, having her pay half the mortgage for his house and then cheating on her. He made the bed, let him lay in it. Commenter 2. Bro's help is where the paper plates always were. Commenter 3 NTA. Your brother is a cheater and a fool. Was Melinda a bit underhanded? Arguably, yes. Does she deserve a share of the house in return for all she paid into it, not to mention 12 years of domestic and emotional labor? Arguably also yes. But when it comes to whether you should shell out for your brother's legal fees, the answer is an unequivocal no. He was a huge and ridiculously careless with his most significant asset. And that's not your responsibility to fix. He's an adult. He needs to fix his own mistake. Commenter 4. I think OP needs to join Team Melinda and learn how to underhandedly make sure her mother's will is fair and that her assets are locked up now. I feel like the brother is on the path to convince Mom to hand over his inheritance early so he can deal with Melinda. Tale as old as time. Parents give golden man-child money, and the other child is left scrambling to pay for their parents' medical expenses. Update, quick recap, brother and mother are trying to guilt me into giving my brother money to pay for an attorney in order to prevent brother's former long-term live-in girlfriend from getting a payout after he claims she tricked him into signing documents making her a partial owner. Okay, there's been an update, and I have to say, while I still don't think my brother is an idiot overall, he is a lazy and very arrogant dumbass. I also wanted to clarify a few things as well. Melinda and my brother were in a relationship for 12 years, but they only started living together for about 9 to 10 years. Also, the documents were signed in the presence of a notary who asked my brother if he understood the context of the documents, and he affirmed that he did. And to the person who said that my brother was house poor, you hit the nail on the hammer. My brother spent the majority of his inheritance and savings on buying that house, and it barely had any furniture in it. When Melinda moved in, she paid to have it furnished on top of splitting the utilities and paying rent. Now on to the new stuff. When my brother's house needed fixing, he let Melinda do the grunt work of finding reputable establishments to consider because he didn't want to be bothered. Melinda presented him with up to 3 options, and convinced him to go with Company A, not real name, because they were offering seasonal discounts for first-time customers and/or new owners for specific items. Melinda's plan to get the both discounts was to present it as if she recently became the partial owner, and had my brother email Company A to see if they'd be willing to accept that. Company A responded that if Melinda recently became part owner of the house, then they'd be willing to give a partial discount as a courtesy. Company A was a small business, but with an excellent reputation in terms of service, quality of work, and meeting deadlines, so my brother was all in. What my brother didn't realize was that Company A went by the honor system when it came to Melinda and my brother's case, but on their website, it did say proper document needed to be shown, so Melinda told my brother that she'd come up with fake documents that he could sign in the presence of a notary that she knew, through a friend who was supposed to be in on the scam. They weren't, but that's what she told my brother. The actual signing was at their home in front of the notary, and 2 people from Company A who were initially there to survey the area. So basically my brother thought that he and Melinda were scamming Company A when in reality Melinda was scamming him. He thought the documents he was signing were fake, but they were real, and that's his defense. This is why he had trouble finding a lawyer. Wouldn't blame anyone here who thought that this was fake, because WTF. So anyway, I'm not going to give him the money, but I will give him a list of realtors. Comments. Commenter 1. So his defense is, I thought we were scamming a company, but really she was scamming me, Your Honor. Yeah, I think it's best to stay out of this one. Reply, I almost peed myself when I laughed. Commenter 2. Are you taking your brother's word for how the legal paper situation can about? Or have you talked to his ex? I'll bet their explanations are not even similar. Commenter 3. It sounds like your brother is having the day he deserves. Still NTA Stories number 15. I finally asked for the salary I actually deserve and they said yes. I've been working at this marketing firm for almost 3 years, and I just found out thanks to a new hire who has loose lips, lol, that the guy who started 6 months after me is making 15K more than I am. Same position, same responsibilities. Actually, I train most of the new people, so arguably more work. I've always been the type to just accept whatever they offer because I didn't want to seem greedy or difficult, you know? My mom raised me to be grateful for opportunities and all that. But something just clicked when I found out and I was like, why am I grateful to be paid less for the same work? Had my annual review yesterday, and when they did the usual, we're pleased to offer you a 3% raise, I literally felt my heart pounding, but I just said, actually, I've done some research on market rates and I believe my contributions warrant a salary of 15K more than current. I thought I was going to pass out, but I somehow kept a straight face. There was this long pause and my manager looked uncomfortable, but then she said she'd see what she can do. And I was expecting the whole budget constraints speech, but she called me this morning and said they approved it. Not the full 15K, but 12K more, plus they're moving me to senior level, which comes with better benefits. I literally cried in the bathroom after, not just because of the money, but because I actually advocated for myself, and it worked. I've been putting extra money into savings anyway to build up an emergency fund. So this is gonna help so much with actually reaching my goals, instead of just scraping by. Anyway, I just wanted to share because if you're in a similar spot, please don't wait 3 years like I did. Know your worth and ask for it. The worst they can say is no, and then you have info to make your next move. Comments. Commenter 1, congrats. Honestly, I don't know why companies mess around and have massive pay disparities like this. I would think that the proper way to go about things is to have a salary they pay per role dictated by market rate, which they inch up each year based on changes to that market rate and the length of employee time at the company. Then if you want to reward high-performing employees, you do it via a performance-based bonus. If it's a vital employee you can't lose and you need to try and keep them around with a big pay rise, you do it with a change of title. Paying different employees wildly different salaries doing the same role causes friction if they ever find out about it. If you let a long-term employee's wage stagnate well behind market rate, then you are just asking for them to leave and apply for work elsewhere. Commenter 2, good job, be proud of what you did, ladies. It is important to know our worth. You can be grateful, but doesn't mean you let them take advantage. OP, celebrate your raise. With the raise, plan a good retirement and savings. Consult a financial planner, look out for your future. This stranger is happy for you. Commenter 3, great job advocating for yourself. But this just proves they think you're worth, and could have been paying this to you the whole time. They don't reward talent and experience. They know you are worth more than they were paying you, and you desisted the promotion but chose not to. For years, companies like this are not good places to work. Commenter 4, OMG, really another one of these fake posts? Oh, a man who started 6 months after you, that you trained, that's being paid 15-20K more than you? And then you asked for a market rate adjustment? G, is the coworker's name Jake? Fuck off with this slop. This is the second one just today. Stories number 16, Aita. Because I won't make sure my half-sister is safe, even though I know she's being reckless. My dad got another woman pregnant when he and mom were expecting me. I'm 16M, his and mom's only kid. Emmy 16F is the other woman, aka his now wife's baby. When mom ended their marriage, my dad chose Emmy and her mom, and really didn't play a hugely active role in my life before. I'm pretty sure he went to jail for failing to pay child support. But mom has never confirmed if that's true or not. There was talk at school about it, which is how I know. My dad has other kids with Emmy's mom, but this post is about Emmy. We don't like each other, I don't care about her. I never acknowledge that we're related, and I say I'm an only child when asked by people. I say I only have a mom too, because most of my life that has been true. Last year my dad started fighting for visitation and making me go to his house more. I spend 3 overnights a month at his place, but I haven't bonded with his family, and I still don't like Emmy, and she still doesn't like me. She's jealous that I'm dad's only son, and she believes it's why he started wanting to know me again last year. I can't stand the way she talks about my mom, and I have insulted her mom right back. When I was younger, I hated her for having dad though. Like I really hated her. It's not about him anymore though, and I just hate her for calling my mom a weor for dating, and implying she's easy and spreads her legs to anyone, when her mom's the one who slept with a married guy. Ever since dad started trying to work on our relationship, Emmy has been acting out and being reckless. I'm talking drinking, drugs, sex, and getting into cars with guys who drive super fast and recklessly. She goes to parties and tries to be the center of attention. I avoid most parties now because of her. But when I see her there, I ignore her. There were a couple of parties where she was close to being raped. Another time the parents came home and found her with more than one boy, and they called her parents. My dad asked me a few times to look out for her and make sure she's not in danger because of how reckless she is. But I told him it's not my job, and I don't give a fuck about her to go out of my way to keep her safe. He tried to use the sister argument, but I was quick to shut it down because there's no way you could make me care for that reason. She was missing for a few days last week and turned up at some guy's house. I saw her with him outside school and didn't really pay attention to what was going on. It pissed my dad off and he showed up at mom's house to yell at me. I didn't care. He might have snapped enough to call time on me being at his house, which would be better for everyone. Emmy didn't come back to school after that, and I don't know if she was found okay, or if something happened and I really don't care, which made me wonder if that's a little evil. Since related or not, I have known her for basically our whole lives. Comments. Commenter 1. This sounds like it could be used as a way to avoid visitation with your dad. He is allowing an unsafe home and expecting his minor children to police it rather than actually being involved. NTA X1 Lezen Commenter 2 NTA, you are 16 years old, and it is not your job to look after another 16-year-old. Clearly she is a troubled kid who needs professional help. Please save any evidence of your father yelling at you for your sister's behavior. Use that documentation to stay with your mom. Commenter 3 NTA. At the end of the day, it's not your job to look out for your dad's daughter. He's the father, he's the adult, it's his job. Honestly, had you actually had a relationship with his daughter, it would be different, but y'all have no relationship at all. And whenever y'all around each other, obviously, y'all don't like each other, so I don't understand why he thinks you should be looking out for her. If he knows she's having troubles, issues, acting out, then him and her mother need to be the ones taking steps to make sure she's safe, or getting her the help she needs. Honestly, I wouldn't want to help her either if she was running her mouth about my mom like she does yours. I almost want to say she's just acting out because she's butthurt that she doesn't have your dad all to herself anymore. Reply, this all started when Dad was first trying to fix his relationship with me. So, I think it is related, but not about not having him all to herself, but sharing him with me specifically, even though I never wanted him. Commenter 4 NTA. Clearly her parental foundation has been seriously lacking all her life, or she wouldn't be acting out this way. Like others said, you're not responsible for another underage person, half-sister or not. Your father and her mother should be taking the responsibility to help and guide her, which clearly they're not. The fault lies with them, not you. Stories number 17. My captain tried to leave me in a place I couldn't legally enter. I felt scared, trapped, and completely alone. Hi everyone. I wanted to share something that happened recently while working as a stewardess on a 20-meter yacht. I've worked in yachting for a while, but this was honestly one of the most stressful and frightening experiences I've ever had. I had accepted a job that was supposed to last until mid-October, but by the end of September, things had become unbearable on board, so I decided to resign. My contract required a 7-day notice period, so I stayed on board out of professionalism. At that time, we were in Corsica, and the plan was to sail from there to the Canary Islands. The moment I gave notice, the captain's attitude completely changed. He became distant and cold, and every time I tried to talk to him about when and where I'd be getting off the yacht, he avoided giving me a straight answer. I asked several times, trying to plan ahead and just understand what was going to happen, but he kept brushing me off. When we got closer to southern Spain, he told me I'd be disembarking in Gibraltar. I immediately explained that I couldn't. I have a Colombian passport and would need a UK visa to enter Gibraltar. I tried to show him the official government information, but he refused to look at it and kept insisting I was wrong. I tried to reason with him calmly, but he wouldn't listen. By that point, I was getting extremely anxious. I didn't want to risk being detained or deported just because he didn't care to check the rules. I tried to contact the management agency, but it was a Sunday, and no one answered. I was at sea, isolated, and starting to panic. The Wi-Fi barely worked, and I felt completely helpless. Out of desperation, I reached out directly to the yacht's owner. I explained everything and sent the relevant information about the visa situation. Thankfully, the owner understood and told the captain to let me off in southern Spain instead of Gibraltar. But after that, things got worse. When I went up to the flybridge for my watch, the captain followed me and started screaming at me. He said it was unacceptable that I'd contacted the owner, denied that I'd ever tried to talk to him, and kept insisting that Gibraltar was Schengen territory, which it isn't. He tried to grab my phone twice, and at one point, he made a gesture like he was going to hit me. In that moment, I felt completely terrified. There were only 3 of us on board. Him, his partner the chef, and me. I locked myself in my cabin, hid my passport, and barely slept for the next 20 hours until we finally reached Fuengirola, Spain. Only then did I finally feel safe again. It was honestly traumatizing. I had a panic attack that night, and I've never felt so vulnerable and unsafe at work. I know life at sea can be intense, and captains can be demanding, but no one should ever feel threatened or trapped, especially in a place where you can't just walk away. I'm sharing this because I know there are others out there in yachting and other industries who face similar situations. Please, always trust your instincts. If something feels wrong, speak up, document everything, and don't let anyone intimidate you into silence. Has anyone else gone through something like this? How did you cope afterwards? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. Dude had main character syndrome plus anger issues. That's a combo for disaster. Hope he gets blacklisted far. That's not leadership. That's pure ego. Reply. Honestly, I'm waiting to receive my payment, And right after that, I'll report him. Abuse towards crew. Towards female crew usually comes from older captains. Some of them think that because they hold a captain's license, and because they have authority, they can do whatever they want. Sadly, they barely face consequences. Commenter 2, 100% report him to whatever. Yachting authorities or whatever is available. Sorry, not sure exactly how it works or who oversees is. At the least, contact the owner again and inform him of everything. I would hope he wouldn't want this captain manning his yacht in the future. Reply, I'll report him soon. Unfortunately, they still owe me money. And I hope the same. It was a horrible experience. It's terrible to feel unsafe, trapped, vulnerable, and disrespected, especially when you are far away from shore, when there's barely any Wi-Fi connection to notify your loved ones. Commenter 3. Bruh, that captain sounds unhinged like WTF. You literally told him the visa thing and he still gaslit you? Glad you went over his head, for that could have ended way worse. Reply, honestly, I think he tried to make me disembark in Gibraltar as revenge because I quit. I told him when we were still in Corsica that I should disembark in the Balearic Islands or in the south of Spain, that it wouldn't be possible for me to disembark in Gibraltar due to my passport restrictions. Honestly, I think he knew that I would get in trouble in Gibraltar, and that's why he insisted on leaving me there. He just tried to make it seem that he was right because he's a captain, and I'm wrong because I'm just a crew member. But I'm from Colombia. We need visas to go to some countries. I know my passport and visa restrictions. OOP shares her concerns with the past and future crews if they work with the same captain. Reply, honestly, I wouldn't like anyone to go through this situation. We were sailing in the Mediterranean, and my boyfriend was in Italy. I knew he would help me out, but what about other people? What if other crew members have gone through the same situation, and they didn't have a single person to help them out? The previous crew member they had is from South Africa. She was on board just for about 20 days. The captain told me that she left because her mom got sick, and a few days later, he told me that she left because she had a shoulder injury. I think she went through something similar, and it was her first boat, so probably she didn't know what to do. What would happen to the next person they hire? As far as I know, the boat would cross the Atlantic and would go to the Caribbean. What if they hire someone in Europe? They take her to the Caribbean, and she finds herself in a similar or worse situation? I'm concerned about past crew and future crew experiences. Commenter 3. I think the captain was right. You would not have had a problem. There is an open border agreement between Gibraltar and Spain. It was signed just in June of this year. Reply. The official website states that Colombian need a visa. Commenter 4. Gibraltar would have simply taken you to the airport and ensured you flew out of the country. Most countries would do that. I mean, there are some countries I wouldn't want to get dropped in, but most understand, and it's not their first rodeo. Reply. I don't want anything like that to go on my record. I travel quite a lot because of work and because of personal reasons. I've never had issues in any country, and I won't have them just because someone doesn't want to talk about that topic in order to reach an agreement. Update. My captain tried to leave me in a place I couldn't legally enter. First of all, I want to thank you all for the love, the support, the understanding, and the advice. My previous post got deleted for some reason, but basically, this is what happened. I was working on board a 20-meter motor yacht. I had a contract until the 15th of October, but I decided to quit on the 30th of September because there was no food on board. The work environment was not nice. The captain and the chef are partners. They would go to shore and they would leave me on the boat. Basically, I was working while they were hanging out. The contract stipulated that I should give 7 days' notice, but sometimes they buy you your flight tickets, and they send you to your repatriation place the next day. This time, the captain decided that I should stay those 7 days because he didn't want to do the navigation just with his partner. At the time, we were in Corsica, and their plan was to sail to the Canary Islands. But 7 days was not enough to get there, so I was supposed to disembark in the Balearic Islands or in the south of Spain. I told him that it wouldn't be possible for me to disembark in Gibraltar because I do hold a Colombian passport, and I'd need a visa, which I don't have since I told him that. He insisted on that I should disembark in Gibraltar. Every single time that I tried to talk to him about it and show him proof, he would just ignore me, shut me down, or act like I was stupid. I have to mention that if I would have disembarked in Gibraltar, that would have been really bad, not just for me, but also for him and the yacht. There was barely any Wi-Fi connection because we were kind of far away from shore. The management agency wouldn't reply to me as it was Sunday, so I had no one else to reach out but the owner. I had a brief conversation with the owner. I sent him proof of the official website stating that I'd need a visa. The owner understood. He called the captain and told him that I should disembark the very next day in the south of Spain. A few hours later, when I went to the flybridge to do my watch, the captain started shouting at me, tried to grab my phone of my hands twice, and at some point made a gesture like he was about to punch me in the face. I started feeling really anxious about the situation because I was far away from shore. I had barely any Wi-Fi connection. He started being aggressive, and his partner was on his side. I went to my cabin to hide my passport and my valuable belongings. But from that point I was feeling unsafe, and we still had more than 15 hours of navigation. Luckily, I had started recording the conversations with him a few days before that incident, because I knew he was going to deny everything. And I recorded the conversation, his shouting in the flybridge. He said that most likely I wouldn't get the tip from the previous charter because it was up to him to give it, or not to me. And I recorded other interesting things he said. I disembarked the next in Fuengirola, near Malaga. I was waiting to get paid to make an official report to the owner, the management agency and the flag state in this case, the Cayman Islands. I already got paid, and I've made the report as many of you suggested. So now, the update. I decided to include in the report screenshots of emails that I had with the consulate and maritime authorities of Gibraltar. Because for some reason, the captain was sure that Gibraltar is a Spanish territory, but it is UK territory. They are doing some agreement to be part of the Schengen territory, but as today Colombians do need visa, and it is a process that takes 2 months. Also, I decided to include screenshot of the conversations that I had with my boyfriend, my mom, and some colleagues who have been in the industry long enough and also know the rules and the procedures. These conversations are brief because of the bad Wi-Fi connection we had. But you can clearly see that I was terrified. Terrified of getting in trouble with the immigration authorities and the police. Terrified of having a bad record in my travel history as due to work and personal reasons. I do travel quite a lot. Terrified of being beaten up by the captain and his girlfriend. As it was expected, the owner was the first person to respond to my report. He's a very nice person. Apparently he got my report. He called the captain and, of course, he said I was making things up, that none of that ever happened, and that the only thing I wanted was to get money out of lies. The owner listened to me. I described in detail everything that happened, and also, I told him that I had recorded the conversations. I didn't include this in the report, because I knew he would deny it. So, the owner asked me to forward to him those recordings, and I did. He listened to them, and I'd speak again to him next week. The management agency and the flag stated, haven't answered yet. I don't even care what they have to say about it. I just don't want anyone to go through a similar situation, because it is a nightmare. I've never felt so vulnerable, scared and anxious. Some of you suggested that I should try to reach out to the previous girl, as she also quit in less than 20 days. And I suspect that something happened while she was on board. I know this is not the first time he does something like that, but unfortunately I just know that she's young, South African, and I know just her first name. So it is not an easy task to find her. I don't know what the owner would say to me. I honestly hope he gets fired. Putting someone through that situation is just evil, especially because he abuses the authority he has when it comes to young women, who are in a foreign country and trying to make some money, and the worst part is that his partner backs him up. Thank you so much again. Your response was so amazing and helpful. I definitely appreciate it, and I had to give you an update. Thanks. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, proud of you. Not easy to stand up to an old entitled bully. Here's hoping the owner is as appalled by what happened and will kick the liability. Reply, thank you so much. Some people told me that I should get my money and forget about it. But I'd feel guilty if I don't try to do something because most likely this would happen again to someone else. Commenter 2. Absolutely gut-wrenching stuff. Dudes on power trips always show their true colors eventually. Respect for standing your ground and not letting this slide. At this point, it's not just about you or that other girl. It's about every other person he might try this on. That audio might just be your golden ticket. Stand firm, we've got your back. Karma's a bitch, and it's about time this captain's ship sank. Keep us updated, stay safe. Commenter 3. Smart, keep recording everything. Hope you hear something soon. Commenter 4. The captain is a piece of shit. I hope he gets fired. With that being said, I'm going to give you a small piece of advice that will help you in the future. You were arguing logic. I legally cannot step off the boat without a visa. See, here's the confirmation of that. And the captain was arguing emotion. I feel like you should be able to. So then you will drive yourself crazy if you try and argue logic to someone who is speaking from emotion. I work in a male-dominated environment, and the number of men that say shit like, Women just aren't good at XYZ is very high. Me giving statistics or even just saying, I'm the most proficient one here. I have the lowest error and the highest output. The data is posted weekly, falls on deaf ears. They'll keep repeating it because what they're actually saying is, I feel like women just aren't good at XYZ, and you can't use logic to fight emotion. I'm bringing this up because I want you to be safe, and I want you to save yourself some mental anguish. If you start using facts and logic to argue with someone and they give you a blank look and repeat themselves, then you two are speaking different languages. Small update, the owner is a very busy person, and he's in a different continent at the moment, so we haven't been able to set up a meeting. I got a response from the management agency, but it wasn't the response I expected, basically. They got mad because I recorded the conversation. Their argument is that he's a French citizen, and in France, it is not legal to record a conversation without the other part knowing. I've replied to them that in Colombia, it is legal, and the recording took place in Spanish waters. In Spain, it is also legal. Besides them saying that the recordings don't count as proof, they haven't said anything else. I have sent the same report to the flag state Cayman Islands. I got the confirmation of them receiving the report. No updates so far. Stories number 18. My wife 24F hid that she can't have kids, and I 27M just found out after 6 years together. I don't know what to do. Me and wife have been together for 6 years and married for 3. We've built a happy marriage and a stable and comfortable life. Once everything felt settled, we decided to start a family from the very beginning. I was clear about wanting a big family, 4 or 5 kids, and she always said she was on board. After a year of trying with no success, I got myself checked and everything came back fine. That's when she sat me down for a serious talk. She finally told me that before we got together, she had a medical procedure due to some health issues, and she's known this entire time that her chances of getting pregnant were negligible. I just went numb. Everything after that felt like a blur. She broke down crying and apologized over and over. I couldn't process it. I just left despite her begging me to stay and talk. It's been 3 days. I've just been drifting around the city and staying with my sister. After non-stop barrage of calls and messages from my wife, I snapped and destroyed my phone to get some peace. So no contact for 3 days. My sister went to our place to grab some work stuff for me and said my wife is completely shattered. She kept begging my sister to convince me to come home and talk to her. I don't know what to do. I don't even know what hurts more. Her hiding it from me all these years, letting me believe we had a real chance, or the fact that I still can't bring myself to hate her. My mind keeps spiraling and I don't feel ready to face her or talk about it. I just feel lost. What should I do? Comments. Commenter 1. Just go your separate ways. You are both still young. You have plenty of time to have your big family and she will find someone else. Reply. I really loved her. I feel like my head going to explode with all the thoughts. Commenter 2. If you really love her and still want children, you can use an egg donor. Maybe she was in denial about the inability to have kids. She still thought there was a chance she could conceive. But still, there was no excuse for her to keep that from you. Praying that you both make the right decision. Commenter 3. I think this is an extremely reasonable solution considering she hid this from him. It was a completely different situation when my wife and I were struggling to conceive, and it was looking like she may be unable to have kids. Because she had no idea and wasn't hiding anything. She was devastated. By the grace of God, we had our beautiful daughter a year ago. But had I left her, it would have been an extreme dirtbag thing to do. Also, discussing an egg donor seemed unfair, because it would technically only be my child, and I didn't want her feeling resentment or upset in any way about that. She never said she would be, and maybe that thought process seems a bit harsh. But those were things I thought about at that time in consideration of her feelings. In the OP's case, his wife knew she couldn't conceive and hid this from him. Whatever the reasons were for her doing that, understandable or not, it was still wrong to do. So, him staying with her, the pair getting an egg donor and raising a child together is a perfectly reasonable solution if both are okay with it, in my opinion. It seems like 99.9% of the time the answer to a situation posted on this subreddit is to leave or get divorced. If you feel this was a major breach of trust and can't get over it, then yeah, maybe that's the answer here too. But I think this one has a solution. Commenter 4. It's the betrayal that makes it devastating. We also had trouble conceiving, and we're extremely lucky to have the one we did, and couldn't have the second we always wanted. But there was no lying involved if we never had kids. It would have been terribly disappointing and difficult. But it would not have destroyed us because there was no betrayal or blame. Just a crappy thing that life threw our way. I honestly don't know if I could have forgiven the kind of betrayal OP is experiencing. Update. I posted the first one from my laptop while working. Just venting everything I felt in the moment. I think it came off one-sided, so I want to give more context and clear up a few things people kept asking. Sorry if this isn't super coherent. Some context about her I already knew. She's an only child. Her family lived paycheck to paycheck. Her mom left when she was 13, and her dad raised her alone. He later turned alcoholic and abusive. When we met around 18, she already had anxiety, abandonment and trust issues. Her dad died when she was 19, early in our relationship. I helped her get some therapy however I could, and she leaned on me for everything. After her dad passed, I moved her in, and my family became hers. A lot of you told me to face it, and my mom also called, saying the same. So the next morning I went home. She was a mess, and the house too. When she saw me, she just froze for a second, then broke down and came to me crying and apologizing. I got her to sit down and calm, made something for us, and we finally talked. The part she'd hidden, when she was 16, she had surgery to remove a cyst in her ovary. There were complications that caused internal scarring, and doctors told her a toned-down version of natural pregnancy was extremely unlikely. That surgery put her dad into debt. Later, he spiraled into alcohol, stopped coming home, blamed her for being damaged goods like her mom, always fucking up his life, and started harassing her. That messed her up. She never had a checkup after that, before we met. She was broke and barely coping with everything. After we got together, she said she didn't have the courage to find out more, scared of what she might hear, and terrified of losing me if I found out. She hoped for a miracle after reading stories of women getting pregnant despite similar issues. Everything fell apart when I brought up getting checked. I got myself checked secretly, just to be sure, so I wouldn't stress her unnecessarily. Upon hearing her out, I lost my cool and went off on her for hiding something so serious. I told her I needed space and asked her to stay with my parents for a while so I could think clearly. She broke down, begged me not to leave, said she'd do anything to make it work. I dropped her to my parents' place. By day 2, I realized I genuinely missed her. The house felt empty without her. I brought her back home. What she did hurt me deeply, but I realized, couldn't just throw her away like some of you said? Because I still love her. We're not talking much right now. I'm still processing it all, taking one step at a time. Many pointed out that if she hid something this serious, she could be hiding more. Honestly, that makes me uneasy. Commenter 1, I think she's never brought it up because of the trauma it caused her. She probably blames herself for her dad's alcoholism and death from what he said to her. You're right to be angry, but I think that once you've cooled down you should really look at the way. Because that's some serious shit, and while I'd be pissed it would give me some clarity edit to add. It sounds like she was also in denial, and acknowledging it makes all her trauma that much more real. Like maybe she thought that if she could get pregnant then all the stuff with her dad after the surgery would have sort of been worth it if it meant carrying her own children. It's sad all around, and I hope OP doesn't give up on her commenter too. Her reaction sounds like deep trauma, not deceit. I hope he gives her space, but eventually talks it through. They both sound like they've been through hell. Commenter 3. She's also 24 years old, she's very young, married young, no adult guidance or support except the man she married. The lack of empathy for this girl is so depressing. Commenter 4. Okay, sounds tough. I also had an ovary removed, as well as several other surgeries in the abdomen due to a ruptured appendix. I went on to have 2 natural pregnancies. I was told the same thing, that having children would be difficult. Just throwing it out there. You never know what can happen, but she should have and could have been upfront with you about it, just so you were aware. Saying she can't have them doesn't seem like a certainty since she hasn't done any checks. I didn't check either. I just stopped my pill at 31 and got pregnant about 6 months later. My second was when my first was 9 months. Commenter 5. I've worked in fertility clinics for over a decade. It's not uncommon for someone to have one working ovary anyways. Most people have one that outperform the other. Scared uterine tissue can be removed a little better now. If I were them, I'd definitely follow up with a fertility clinic and get into marriage counseling to help process this. Congratulations on your kids. Commenter 6, I'm going to get blasted for this, but what a tragedy. My heart breaks for her. Her original trauma taught her that she was disposable, damaged. If she admits this, she'll be abandoned and unlovable, too, so she spent years hiding this trauma from him, certain that being honest wasn't safe. that he would never love her if he knew. 3. When the truth finally came out, his reaction, while understandable because of his own trauma and devastation, proved her deepest fears and her clear understanding of the world. Of herself, he got furious, he left, he cut her off. A mirror of her father's albeit slower reaction. 4. Now he brought her back, and they'll rebuild the marriage slowly. But she'll always know. I'm disposable. I'm broken. I'm unlovable. And it's only by a miracle that he still wants me. Now I can never fail again or be damaged or he'll leave for good. If anything, he's taught her to hide things better. Because it's not safe, to be honest. It's bad and rough all around. But what could have been a come-together moment, a chance to put aside his anger and hurt, and show her that no matter what she's loved and will never be abandoned. Now will just never happen. It just breaks my heart. I get that this was huge. I get that his reaction was perfectly normal. But it tragically will destroy her even further. And that breaks my heart. Commenter 8. You might get blasted, but I agree because this is exactly how I took it. Her young age plays a huge factor here. She dealt with all that at 16 only to get married literally 2 years later. I still have difficulty understanding my own body at my big age, but I wouldn't be surprised if she didn't understand WTF was going on at freaking 16 years old. She needs a doctor and a therapist. I feel so bad for her. Reply. Thanks for this, Pov. I haven't thought this way. I will help her. Commenter 9. It's okay to help yourself too, bud. I don't mean to downplay how confusing hard this was for you, but in first aid, someone with a broken leg gets backburnered to the person bleeding out. You're hurt, but her hurts are much deeper and more damaging at the moment. Just reassure her, explain yourself why you left, but why you won't leave now. Why you couldn't have actually left, because you couldn't lose her no matter what. And then get both of you into therapy to deal with this. Inside therapy, talk to her about how you need honesty because you can't help her carry burdens you don't know about, but keep stressing the togetherness aspect. She needs it, and you personally never forget. Honesty is always about trust, not obedience. People are honest when they feel safe enough to be honest, not when they are reminded the consequences of lying. It's paradoxical, but in order for someone to be honest, you have to show them that being honest is safer and better than hiding. Look, I meant what I said. This incident was and will be damaging, and you can't undo it or change that. But it's not unfixable, it's just damaging. So what you do next will decide whether you both build back something stronger or not. You seem like a good guy overall, so just keep loving her as best as you can. And don't skip over the therapy part. It will help you both unpack things and heal. Stories number 19. Aita for not accepting my dad's wife's offer for us to split cooking days, and for me to eat with her and her kids. The background would be kinda long if I went into all the past stuff. But I 17M just have my dad, I don't have other family or my mom to live with, and my relationship with him was always non-existent. He resented being left to raise me, and he didn't do a good job of providing for me. But he was all I had, and for a while as a kid I wanted us to be close so bad. He never wanted me to be his kid though, and I found ways to accept that. And even though I call him my dad, we use first names with each other. We also have an agreement. I don't bother him or expect him to do anything for me, and he doesn't expect me to do regular chores around the house. I buy and cook my own food and clean up after myself, and that's it for me, other than sleeping. I also moved from my old room to the guest room so I can have my own bathroom and privacy. Nobody else goes near my room or my bathroom. I don't interact with anyone Dad has over or his wife, stepkids, and new baby, and I don't ask for money or help with stuff. It's been 3 years like this now. I used to babysit for money, which is how I was able to buy my own food and stuff before. My dad's wife moved in 18 months ago, and they got married and had a baby since then. His wife has 3 kids as well as the baby with my dad. I don't know their ages or anything about them. I wasn't at their wedding either. I leave the house at 7 every morning, and I come back around 5:30 to eat. Then I leave again usually, and come home around 8 and stay in my room until the next day. Sometimes I stay and do homework in my room, but usually I'm at a friend's house or the library. My dad doesn't get home until around 7:30, 8 most nights, and his wife and her kids have usually eaten by then. She does all the cooking for them and stuff. I don't know how much she knows about the agreement Dad and I have, but she started coming home earlier and asking me questions about why I eat alone and wouldn't I prefer to eat with her and the kids. I always say no and ignore most of what she says, so I can be done and leave again, or lock myself in my room. A few nights ago she told me she hated the setup and wanted me to eat with her and the kids and split cooking nights between the two of us. She called us a family and said families should eat together and split big chores like cooking and sit together and be. I told her we weren't a family and I didn't want to change things. She brought the baby up and tried to use them as a reason for me to give it a shot. I think she believed I wanted a relationship with the baby at the very least. But I don't care and I let her know that. She kept pushing the offer, so I had to rush through my food and went to my room, but she followed me up and kept pushing it. And since that night she has brought it up and let me know she's not happy that I won't give it a shot. I think she tried to get my dad to say something to me, but told her to leave it alone because I'm not a part of the family they're making. But she didn't give up even then. I'm tired of it. But I know she is probably trying to be nice, but she's just some random woman, so I'm not having some big heart-to-heart with her and I'm not comfortable with her trying so hard. I find it weird when she doesn't even know the first thing about me. She thinks I'm older than I am. Comments. Commenter 1. Dude, you weren't even at the wedding. What exactly did she think? NTA? But your dad is a giant one. Reply. I don't know what she was thinking. But she hasn't brought up the wedding or the fact I didn't go. She just talks about me eating alone and not being a part of the family. She said we're like strangers. But it's exactly what we are. We're not like strangers, we are. We don't know each other. Commenter 2 NTA. Depending on the country you are living in, your sperm donor might owe you a lot of money as he is usually. I do not know about even one country where it is not so legally obliged to not only provide for a warm and dry roof over your head, but also clothes, food, school supplies, books and transportation, access to school medical. Sounds like he did not fulfill even his minimum requirements. Makes him a horrible person. Please check also your credit. Also, if there is no mother's side, there might be inheritance or other things to know. Never trust someone who treats her own kids or others or even only animals like that. Commenter 3. What a weird dynamic in family. She's with your father for so long and she still doesn't know you. She moved in with the kids, had another kid, and she suddenly started caring. Like WTF, she might be nice to you, but it's so weird she entered this relationship without care about you, or how your relationship with the father is. Reply. I find this whole thing weird. From the randomness of her pushing me to be a part of the family to the way she won't give it up even after Dad told her I'm not, and to drop it. If she was so bothered by him not being a dad to me, why marry him? Why stay? It's all so weird. Commenter 4. I'm raising my eyebrow at the fact that the first thing she questions at all is splitting chores. Not about your relationship with your dad. Not about why you weren't at the wedding. Not about inviting you to join some kind of bonding activity like a movie or some such. It's looking to me like she wants help with making dinner and handling the younger kids, while framing it as spending time with family and getting to know each other. Kinda scummy. Your dad truly knew how to marry someone with morals aligned with his own. Of course, NTA. All the best for you, and I hope you can remove yourself from this crap environment sooner rather than later. Stories number 20. Average dudes. Are you really not approaching women if you think they're really hot? TLDR. Is that really a thing nowadays if you're single and in your 30s? Edit. I'm asking millennial men and older only. I don't date Gen Z backstory. Married college sweetheart, but divorced after 13 years. When we started dating, there was only a single iPhone, and most of us were still waiting until after 9 p.m. to make phone calls. So dating is extremely different than when I last was on the market. I've found that I have a horrible time meeting guys in the wild. I'm never approached, so I end up approaching guys. But they appear more suspicious than anything, so it never goes anywhere. 20–30% of the time I get asked if I'm going to steal their kidneys, so my go-to response is, nah, just your corneas. Dating apps are entirely different story. I do really, really well. I get a lot of matches, which doesn't mean jack shit, but when I connect with someone and go on a date, the chemistry is there. Just drinks always turns into dinner, and we often end up dating for at least a couple of months. FW to last week, matched with a guy on Tinder, and we finally met up this weekend and had an amazing time. He's cute, but it's really his personality that makes him low-key irresistible. One thing I like about him is that he's amazing at paying compliments. Like, sure, he calls me beautiful and whatnot, but the other compliments are about my personality and how I carry myself, so they meant a lot to me. I've been in therapy for a long time, and some of the things he complimented are ones that I've worked really hard on to improve in myself. While making one of those nice compliments, he followed it up with, "And you're incredibly hot." But I'm sure you hear that all of the time, except I don't, and told him as much. He seemed genuinely surprised, so I shared my backstory about how hard of a time I have with guys in the wild. He then said, I would never approach you if I saw you at a bar. You're really hot, so I would just assume there is zero interest. But since we matched on a dating app, it's different because I'm certain there is at least some. So is this really a thing? I kind of assumed it was a thing women said to each other, including to me, to make us feel better about shitty dating prospects. It's not like I never get compliments. It's just they're always about how smart I am. So I was genuinely shocked that he, someone who seems confident, and who has no problem meeting women, would say he wouldn't approach me. Comments. Commenter 1. Let's just get this out of the way. Men aren't approaching women as much anymore. Independent of level of attractiveness, first. We're all more socially awkward than ever. Things were heading downhill for a while, but it got significantly and noticeably worse after the pandemic. We don't know how to communicate with people anymore, and not just men, women too. Second, men have been bombarded for years with complaints from women that men are assholes and creeps for approaching them. Yes, I know that they don't mean all men, but the message was still there and prevalent enough that guys don't want to risk being misunderstood and seen as a creep. You add that to the fact that social media perpetuates unrealistic dating standards for both sides, and our confidence takes a significant hit. Lastly, have you tried dating lately? It's a fucking shit show. A lot of guys just don't think it's worth the effort. With that being said, I still approach women, but not to toot my own horn. I'm more socially confident than the average guy. Plus, I'm from a country where people are naturally warmer, more welcoming and more talkative. Even then, I still hear complaints about it from my female friends who live here. It's rough out there, folks. Commenter 2. He then said, I would never approach you in the wild. You're really hot, so I would just assume there is zero interest. But since we matched on a dating app, it's different because I'm certain there is at least some. Yeah, what he said sounds completely normal. I'm sure nearly every guy will agree. It's not really about a lack of confidence. It's just being realistic. Also, to be clear, when we're talking about approaching, I'm only referring to romantically. I'm not in the dating pool anymore, but I'm speaking about my reasoning in the past. If I'm in a hobby group or something, and there's an attractive woman, I have no issue talking as friends. Likewise, I would feel comfortable complimenting their intelligence or something. But I would never compliment their body because it's been generally hammered into men to not do that. But even among my current female friends, if they were strangers at a bar, I would be pretty unlikely to try to start up a conversation because it's been hammered into us that women are tired of being approached. Commenter 3. Not sure about others, but women tend to not compliment men, so we kind of don't even know if we are attractive enough for the hot chicks. Like, unless the guy is model level of attractive, we don't really know. I thought I knew what women found attractive, and then they point out a guy I'd assume was ugly, and they didn't think so. It's hard to know where we are on the scale when women never give us a hint. Y'all know you're hot because we tell you, you all never tell us. Commenter 4. I'm not approaching women at all in my 30s. I'm tired. Life is hectic, and I've got too many things to worry about to be putting on a horse and pony show for dating women I don't know at this point. I'm just making friends, and if it happens, cool. But if not, staying single is fine too. Stories number 21. Overheard roommates, 2024M, talking about how slutty I, 20F, dress. I live with 3 boys and 1 other girl. Up until this point, we were all pretty friendly. Yesterday, I overheard the 3 guys talking downstairs. I don't think they knew I was home. They were talking about how slutty I dress and laughing. One of them said I must be so desperate to hook up with one of them, and they were making jokes about which one of them it is. I'm so upset. I generally wear shorts and a tank top around the house, just because they're comfortable. Sometimes when it's hot, I'll wear crop tops. I don't purposely dress sexy, just picture your standard H&M or Forever 21 outfit. I've seen the guys walking around downstairs in boxers or with their shirts off. It wasn't a big deal to me, so I just assumed we were all cool. Why is it okay for them to be in their underwear, but not for me to wear my everyday clothes? Additionally, one of them has a girlfriend who dresses exactly the same, if not more revealing than me. Very low-cut shirts, short shorts, etc. It's totally fine that she dresses this way. But I don't get why she's fine, but I'm a slut. And here's the kicker. I'm in a long-distance relationship with my girlfriend. 'Cause I'm gay as fuck, what do I do? I don't feel like I'm in the wrong, but I am so uncomfortable with the idea of being around them. Knowing that they're thinking about how much of a slut I am and how I'm desperately trying to sexually attract them. TLDR. Roommates called me a slut because of the way I dress. While both themselves and their girlfriend dress more revealingly. What do I do? Relevant comments. Commenter 1. I think next time you see one of them in boxers or shirtless, you should say, dude, you're dressing pretty slutty today. That's so funny. You must be so desperate to hook up with someone in this house. Who is it? Then when they look at you like you grew two heads, laugh. Inform them they're gross but you don't gaff. Because you wouldn't sleep with sniggering spineless morons even if you were into men. I'd let other people give actual good advice, but a lot of what's on offer so far seems to be along the lines of, boys will be boys, with a helpful side order of, well, maybe you do dress slutty. It's pretty sad that it's plumb normal for men to objectify and demean women who are meant to be their friends. I wouldn't be friends with people who talked about me this way. ETA, maybe I was a bit vitriolic in this post, but the situation ground my gears. Reply. Ha ha ha, oh my god, that's hilarious. The look on their face would be priceless. I just walk into the room, sigh, and go, look, dude. I know you're super desperate to sleep with me, but it's not gonna happen, so you can just stop dressing like a slut now. Yeah. I guess I'm just a little sad because I kinda like these guys. It hurt to hear from people who I thought were my friends. But whatever. If anything, my girlfriend got a kick out of it. They have no idea how wrong they are. Commenter 2. I don't know if this applies to you at all, but here goes. I've heard this about me too several times over the years. 29F here. Even if I've show less skin than the girl next to me. I'm pretty voluptuous, and quickly learned that what looks sporty or even classy on other girls seem to still come across as slutty or dressing up sexy when I wear it. Shorts and tank tops def being on the list on what's been commented on. It's an unfortunate effect which I've had to come to terms with. The good news is these childish notions seem to disappear as you grow older. And the best way to counter those sort of remarks is to hold your head high and stay confident with a don't give a shit attitude. It's a learned skill, but it's damn great. Reply, I completely feel you. I have a lot of friends who have larger chests or who developed early, and I have nothing but sympathy for the shit these girls have to deal with. Aside from actual, literal back pain. They've told me how much trouble they've had buying clothes that don't look sexy. And even when they're wearing very covered-up clothing, people will still manage to look at them in a sexual light. I'm about average-sized, so this doesn't really apply to me, but I appreciate the advice. It's really unfair the way society treats girls with larger chests. It's not as if they can help it. Commenter 3. They think you are hot. They are attracted to you and are embarrassed that they find you so distracting, and are using bravado to try to make themselves feel better about it. I'd call them out and tell them if you were a guy dressing that way they wouldn't care, and that it's them creating the issue, not you. Reply, ha ha ha, oh man, that first part made me laugh. If only they could have voiced it as a compliment to me instead. You're probably right about the last bit, I agree. It's just that I'm kind of scared of saying that to their faces. Maybe I'll work up the courage. Update. Firstly, I just wanted to thank you guys for being so sweet in the last thread. I was so stressed out and you guys made me laugh before I posted. I was basically set on hiding awkwardly in my room or maybe dressing more conservatively when I left my room. After I saw all your responses, I was filled with a feminist, body-positive rage. These boys were not going to get away with slut-shaming me. Of the three guys, I'm closest with Tomboy13, so I decided to talk to him individually. I heard him coming up the stairs, and I just took a deep breath and walked out of my room, smiled and asked if I could talk to him for a minute. He came into my room, and we were just making small talk. I shut the door, summoned all of my assertiveness, and said, "So I actually have something weird to talk to you about. I heard you guys talking about me the other day. I'd like to say that I threw down with this boy, that I told him that sexism is not cool or funny, and I won't put up with it and demand that he apologize. But instead, I cried. A lot. I straight up just broke down. I couldn't even speak." Tom looked absolutely devastated. He immediately apologized, said I wasn't supposed to hear any of that. But I wasn't really paying attention because I was just trying to get a grip on myself. There's nothing more awkward than crying in front of someone when you're not on that level yet. Anyway, I asked him if that was really what he thought of me. He said no, and that they were just being dumb. And that when Samboy23 brought it up, he was really surprised and knew it was wrong. But he didn't call him out on it. He said he should have, and he knew he should have. But he didn't want to make a big deal about it because Sam and Bobboy33 were just joking around, even though they were being mean. He said it was shitty of him not to call them out, and that by not saying anything, and acting like it was funny, he allowed it to happen. He said that he has no excuse and he's sorry. This checks out. From what I heard, it was mainly Sam and Bob saying the bad stuff. I said I knew they were just joking around, but it made me feel horrible to be talked about that way, and that the sexism really slapped me in the face. He agreed and said it was horrible. And he also said something like, not that it's an excuse, but you're really pretty, and I think that's why we were talking about you that way. None of us actually believed what we were saying, but I think it was just wishful thinking, and we were idiots about it. So, for all you guys who suggested that they were attracted to me, bingo. I laughed and told Tom that I had a girlfriend. He said that was totally cool, and then looked embarrassed, and said they must have looked like complete idiots bragging about how much I wanted to sleep with them. I agreed. Tom asked if there was anything he could do to make up for it. I told him not to tell the other guys anything, because I don't really want to talk about it anymore. But if they ever start talking about another person like that, even if it's not me, to speak up. He promised me he would and apologized about 9,000 more times and left. I heard him go into his room, and then immediately leave and go out the front door. I didn't think much of it and put my headphones in and played Trackmania for a while. Later that day I opened my door and there was a big cardboard box right outside my door. My first thought was that I'd ordered something from Amazon and forgot about it, but it looked like a used box that someone had repurposed and taped shut. I dragged it into my room and opened it. Guys, it was a bouquet of flowers and a cake with the word sorry written on it. If you're thinking that I cried for the second time in 3 hours, well, you're right. Anyway, I'm sorry I didn't throw down with them like so many of you wanted. Unfortunately, I am but a tiny cream puff. I'm working a lot on being more assertive, but in this scenario, I handled it as best as I could. Confronting Tom about it was actually super scary, but I'm proud of myself for bringing it up at all. I accept Tom's apology. He seemed genuine, and this does seem like a one-off shitty behavior situation. He's usually a pretty stand-up guy. The other guys, I don't know, to be honest, I wasn't super sold on them to start with. So I feel like I'll just continue to not pursue a friendship with them. And I'll continue to dress however I want. Lastly, serious thanks to all of you for your responses. I was hesitant to post this on Reddit because Reddit can sometimes be not so nice about women's issues. But y'all are cool, TLDR. Talked to one of the boys about it. Cried a lot, got cake. Relevant comments commenter 1, no matter what. You came out of this on top because you got free cake. Reply, moral of this story. Cry more so that people give you cake. You bet your ass I have the entire cake next to me right now, and I've just been eating it directly with a fork because I'm an animal. Commenter 2, oh man, don't even worry about having a breakdown. Half the times I think I'm about to be fierce and direct and facing someone I end up just crying in anxiety about the situation and blubbering out word garbage. Honestly, it seems like opening up to him may have really helped him understand you, and he'll hopefully have your back in the future. Reply, God, I totally feel you. If anyone ever confronts me, I just break down. Like I'm not trying to manipulate them by making them feel sorry for me. I genuinely just cry super easily, and yeah, I'm really glad I did it this way. Aside from, not doing it in the first place, I can't imagine Tom having a better response. Commenter 3. So for all you guys who suggested that they were attracted to me, bingo, it's quite telling to me how displaying male attraction seems tied into mistreatment and degradation of said woman they're attracted to. And how so many guys seem to trip over themselves either excusing it or not calling this bullshit out. Free cake though, reply, yeah, it's a weird feeling, guiltily. I'm kind of flattered that they think I'm pretty. But it's also like, they expressed this by calling me a slut. So that sort of takes away from the flattery. Someone in the last thread mentioned that this was just dumb young boy behavior. And I kinda hope so. Not that boys will be boys is an excuse, but more that I hope as they get older they realize that this kind of stuff makes people feel really bad. Stories number 22. My 28F partner 28M is convinced I am cheating. Hi, never thought I'd post here, but here we go. My boyfriend is convinced I am cheating on him with a co-worker similar age. My boyfriend and I have been together for a year. I would like to stress the following. I am not, nor have I ever been attracted to this co-worker. This co-worker is happily married and treats me no differently to anyone else. I am on a graduate scheme, so this coworker is senior to me and has a formal mentoring role. This coworker has contacted me once personally outside of working hours, only to have a work-based catch-up with me when I was ill. This situation is ridiculous. He has become convinced that I am cheating, or am intending to cheat, on him with this man. The coworker and I do get on, but I get on with most people, because we work in close proximity, and in the same department. It's a huge company. I do mention him more than others when I'm telling stories about my day to my boyfriend. But it's all really dull work-based crap. I thought maybe having him meet people where I work would help. This made it worse, somehow. as afterwards he felt vindicated as he had taken everything this coworker had said to him as a subtle indication of his intentions towards me. I, and several others, were in the room the whole time, and coworker did not say anything out of the ordinary. It's insane. It's getting to the point where he's so upset and uncomfortable that I'm getting nervous and having to not tell him about things that happened at work, because it will involve mentioning this person. In the latest case, the coworker had sent a message to the entire team about an absence. But obviously my phone went off and his name appeared and my boyfriend became really distressed. TLDR, boyfriend thinks I'm cheating with coworker, even though I am not and nothing would indicate I am. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. He needs to look at therapy for his insecurities. Could be a symptom of hiding depression or another anxiety disorder. Untreated, they can get worse. Either that, or he has control issues and is using this paranoia as a way to try and control your behavior, isolating you from other people. Has he ever been jealous of male friends? Or had issues with you hanging out with friends without him? Or on a girl's night out? Reply re the first, I agree. I don't really know how to access that stuff, or how he would. For the second, that's a firm no. He recognizes that this feeling he has is nonsense, albeit very difficult, and actively encourages me to do things without him and have a healthy social life. However, I will say this. His feelings alone do make me want to alter my behavior to make him feel better, even though he would never intend this to be the case. Commenter 2, can you give any examples of what he's saying? Is he accusing you of meeting up secretly? Since you have a total of 2 texts from coworker, how does BF turn that into cheating? Secret phone? Because unless you're leaving some major things out, this is almost paranoid. And not in the colloquial sense, however. I will say this. His feelings alone do make me want to alter my behavior to make him feel better. Wait, what? Your behavior is fine, right? Why would you be wanting to alter anything to make him feel better? Reply, as in, although he would never explicitly or implicitly guilt-tripping, Eggy say, don't do this. I can see him hurting and I suppose I want to fix it. I know rationally nothing is wrong. It's hard to even pinpoint where it started. I do legitimately need to stay late at my job. So there's that time possibly? It's completely irrational, but he does recognize this. He'll just get really uncomfortable and sad or, normally, say something insulting about the coworker. The things he says about me cheating are less angry accusations and more him saying that he's not good enough, so he thinks it's happening. When pushed he, obviously, has no reason to think this, and will acknowledge he's being ridiculous. I just really needed to know that I'm not overreacting when I get angry at him over it, and that this is legitimately insane. OOP replying to a deleted comment, that's actually a pretty good chunk of what I meant, actually. This is gonna sound dumb, but I hadn't considered how it might be the sum of all of those elements. New job. Lots of stories where one features prominently. Staying late, contact after hours contributing to this. I've just been seeing them as individual things. It's been a big change in routine since my old job. I know everyone at his work as he's been there so long. I imagine if a new woman started working closely with him and this coincided with longer hours, I would feel concerned, though not to this extent. So I do think I understand the base feelings feeding into it then, if perhaps not the level of distress it results in, based on the kind of route this takes where all of it begins with I am not good enough, therefore you will leave. I can see that. If he already has quite a profound insecurity about himself in which he thinks he's somehow not good enough for me, then these circumstances could act as a big trigger for that, and really maybe just bring this out to the surface. This actually would make a lot of sense in terms of some other things he said about himself in the past, which maybe I should have taken more seriously, and have pushed more for him to open up about, e.g., he makes jokes about him being insert negative trait here, that I never took as coming from a genuine pain. Thank you for that perspective. I'm speaking with him tonight about it. Edit. OpenUp's comment was a pretty good example of what's really been happening with that. For clarity update, my 28F partner 28M is convinced I'm cheating. So it got a bit of attention, so I wanted to do an update. Plus shit hit the fan over the last few days. So buckle yourselves in. After we spoke about the original issue, things did get better. Then, little fragments of other controlling behaviors started to come out. I thought we could work through them, until when things came to a head, I found out he had, in fact, cheated on me. When I attempted to leave him over this, he became very abusive to the point where he was arrested. 3 things: screamed, threatened me, trapped me in the house. I'm crushed. But relieved I found out now, staying with friends currently. Trying to process, so I guess if there's a moral to the story, don't ignore signs of abuse? but I can't help the sense that the escalation came out of nowhere. And how, before, if you'd tried to tell me this would have happened, I would have laughed in your face. I guess I don't know what I could have done to prevent this. The original issue seemed to be able to be worked through, but was masking this. Thank you to everyone who offered advice and support in my previous post. Apart from that one guy who thought I'd had a Freudian slip in one of my comments and became convinced I had. Actually, cheated on my partner, like I was a Scooby-Doo villain. In retrospect, you can go fuck yourself, TLDR. Boyfriend thought I was cheating. He was cheating, became abusive, got arrested, I e-capped. Relevant comments. Commenter 1, I'm so sorry that happened to you. Thank you for the update and reinforcing the idea that cheaters project their behavior onto innocent people. Reply, I come off maybe flippant in the post, but I'm just in shock. I feel a year of my life has been taken from me and utterly wasted. Commenter 2, yeah, it's hard. Better now though than in a few more years though. Trying to accommodate him a bit here and a bit there. And end up sacrificing opportunities and yourself because you love him and want to make a life with him. And only finally realize how fucked up it is to want that anymore. Reply, I cannot stress enough how much I relate to what you have just said here. I still love him. But I love myself more, thank God. Commenter 4. Had a GF who was super jealous. I would have a 2-minute conversation with some girl, and then she would say, why don't you just fuck her while you're at it? Things like that. Turns out she was projecting and it was her that was cheating the whole time. Reply, it definitely started getting like that. Commenter 5. Whenever I hear or read someone say, my partner has accused me of cheating out of nowhere, the truth is almost always that the partner is in fact the one who is cheating. Glad you figured it out and are now free of the situation. Good luck, Commenter 6. You couldn't have done anything to prevent it. I don't think. He got progressively worse. You got progressively concerned. You handled it like a rational person would. I would, though. Check in with a DV entity or a therapist who specializes in it, so that you can protect yourself from any further contact from this man. Please be safe, OP. Just because he got arrested doesn't mean he realizes that he was wrong or that he knows you don't owe him anything and that he should leave you alone. Stories number 24, Aita for ruining to my cousin's wedding. I'm going to try keep it brief, because I genuinely feel like I'm being gaslit by everyone. But also maybe I'm not seeing my own role in this situation. In uni, I had a very brief sort of relationship with a guy on my course. I ended it because I felt like I needed to learn independence. I've never lived on my own. My mom and dad coddled me and paid for my expenses. Cooked for me, did my laundry, etc. He was looking to settle down, and I really wasn't. I wanted to learn to be on my own for a bit, and he wanted to marry someone he could take care of. We went our separate ways, finished uni, got jobs, etc. My cousin got married the other day. This guy I was previously talking to attended with his wife. She also attended our uni, and was on the same course. I wasn't really fussed by seeing them. They've clearly moved on, and I'm loving life right now. Having that independence I've been wanting. It's all chill until his wife comes up to our table. She asked me why she didn't see me at graduation. For context, I didn't attend our graduation ceremony because both my grandmothers had passed away and it was their funeral. I didn't really care about missing graduation because I've got horrible social anxiety anyway, and the thought of being seen by that many people freaked me out. She asked about my career. I told her that I'm in teaching now and I love it. Small pleasantries, you get it. But she randomly veered the conversation in different direction. She's like, my husband doesn't care about you anymore. I wasn't bothered at all because over the few years since we were together, I started to see just how toxic he was. He was controlling, and he wanted me to ask his permission before seeing my own friends. I was not looking to start an argument at my cousin's wedding, so I walked away from them and sat at my other cousin's table. IDK how, but she found me again at some other point of the reception and it got weird. She was saying things like, you are so jealous of us. You skipped graduation because you didn't want to see us together. I didn't even know they were together. I didn't bother explaining myself. It would have been pointless, as she'd already made up her mind about me. I just nodded along as she ranted to me, but as you'd expect, it started to take attention away from the wedding. I decided it would probably be best to go home, so I gave my gifts and left. But my cousin messaged me a few days later angry at me for starting fights at the wedding. I told her I wasn't looking for any fights, and that girl had approached me every single time. But she told me it was my fault for leading him on in the first place. I explained it was very long time ago. I was only 19 at the time and I wasn't sure what I wanted to do with my life, let alone commit to marrying a guy. Am I being dumb, or is this actually my fault? Did I ruin the wedding? There's more I want to include, but this post is limited. Relevant comments. Commenter 1. You didn't start the fight and you left so it wouldn't cause commotion at the wedding. NTA, is your cousin friends with other girl? Cause it seems like she's taking sides when she should be mad at the other girl for starting shit at her wedding. Reply. Yeah, they're friends, but I didn't know that until after the wedding. Commenter 2. Shouldn't your cousin realize that this person is making up lies when she's saying you skipped graduation because you were jealous of her and ex being together? And the real reason you missed it was for your grandmother's funeral. Because she could put together that your grandmother did die. And was this grandmother related to the bride also? Reply. No, she wasn't. We're related on my dad's biological side, but he's adopted. It was his adoptive mum that passed away, and my mum's mum. She did know about the deaths, but I don't think she knew it was when my graduation was supposed to be. Our families aren't that close. Commenter 3. NTA, what is wrong with these people? I'd be very firm with everyone who had something to say. I attended my cousin's weekend and my ex's new wife behaved like an unhinged lunatic following me around. It became so uncomfortable I had to leave because she was causing a scene. I have nothing to apologize for. Reply. I did point this out to my cousin, but she's still upset with me and says I probably should not have attended, but I didn't even know they were going to attend, or that they were even married. Commenter 4. Did your cousin invite you? OOP. She invited my parents, but they couldn't make it, so they asked me to go instead. In our culture, it's considered rude if I don't attend on my parents' behalf. Commenter 4. Did she know you were attending on your parents' behalf ahead of time? Reply. Yes, my parents already rang her mum to explain they couldn't make it, but I was attending for them. Commenter 4. In that case, your cousin knew who was going to be there and should have determined if it might be a problem or not, and addressed it beforehand. You didn't have the information to judge that. I don't know why your cousin's friend wouldn't just ignore you for the sake of her friend's wedding. What a psycho. Reply. I'm not sure if she even put that together until she saw us at the wedding. It was so long ago and I haven't thought about it since it ended. But the wife is a bit strange for holding on to a year-long relationship between 18-19-year-olds. Commenter 5. Sounds like neither your ex and wife nor your cousin were actually mature enough to get married. NTA reply. I am only 22 to be fair. My cousin is only a couple of years older than me. OP on how the wife managed to locate her if OOP moved tables. Reply. I mean, it's an Asian wedding. There were at least 30 different tables. Update, Aita for ruining my cousin's wedding? I did end up contacting my cousin after reading through the comments on the original post. I waited a while because she was enjoying her honeymoon. It went better than I expected, to be honest. She did start off by explaining that she was upset at the wedding because she felt flustered about having people fighting at her wedding. It was her instinct to stick up for her friend. I mentioned in the comments that my cousin and I aren't very close, so it might sound strange that she'd opt to defend her friend over me. But it makes sense to me, and I'm not mad about it. We pretty much squashed it, and agreed that it would be better for the sake of our families to just agree there are no hard feelings. And what happened, happened. Just to make life easier for events like this in the future. I don't think about it anymore. Most of my reaction to the situation came from everything happening so publicly. Once I was out of the situation and had time to cool down a bit, it stopped bothering me. I wanted to clear some things up too. Some of you were confused why I would be shocked that the wife found me during the reception. I forget that white weddings are so small. There were between 700 to 1,000 people at this wedding, and like 70 to 80 tables, not including the bride and groom's table. It was a pretty big venue, and my cousin's table that I sat at was tucked away in the corner. Speaking of, some of you were wondering why the cousin I sat with didn't say anything. She's like me in that sense. Getting involved just makes the situation worse, as we've seen with our parents, aunts, and uncles. And no, it wasn't a situation where the entirety of the hall stopped and watched. It was more of a situation where the few people around us were watching the situation go down. There were still people dancing, going to all the carts serving different foods, etc. Also, I don't know what side of the story his wife knows. Nor do I care to know. It happened 3 years ago. I realize my account of this may be biased, so I take accountability for that. I think naturally we tend to only see situations from our own point of view. Relevant comments. UP explains why there was a large number of guests at the cousin's wedding. Reply, this is just standard for Asian weddings. If you're not a close member of the family, you're not generally expected to give gifts. You'll just give a small amount of money to the couple, like $200, as a gesture of wishing them a blessed marriage. Commenter, as for why UX's wife came at you, I can't help but wonder what kinds of stories and signals she's getting from your ex. Maybe he idealizes you. Or maybe he's tried to make you the devil and blame you for everything that went wrong in your relationship. Maybe he's telling her that you're obsessed with him and following him around in person and on social media. Stories number 25, Aita for destroying a family after my bill tried to give away my vintage Porsche. Alright, I need to get this off my chest and see if I've completely lost the plot. My family is currently blowing up my phone, and my wife, while she gets it, thinks I took it too far. So for some background, I 32M am a car guy, like a proper spend every weekend in the garage covered in grease kind of guy. It's my thing. My pride and joy is this 1978 Porsche 911 I've been restoring since I was 27. I bought it as a complete rust bucket for a song and spent the last 5 years and basically every spare penny I had bringing it back to life. We're talking late nights, skinned knuckles, the whole 9 yards. This car is my baby. It's not just a thing I own. It's a part of me. Now enter my brother-in-law. Dave 40M. Dave is, well, he's the kind of guy who thinks the world owes him. He's always made these jokes about my Porsche. You never drive it? You should just let me have it. Or, must be nice to have a toy like that. You know the type. I always just brushed it off. The shit hit the fan last Saturday. We had a family BBQ at our place. Dave, his wife, my sister, and their 16-year-old son Kyle were there. Kyle just got his license and has been absolutely relentless about getting a car. Not just any car, a nice car. The apple didn't fall far from the tree. I had the Porsche parked in the driveway. It was a nice day, I just detailed it, you know? I was proud. I went inside to grab a tray of burgers. Couldn't have been more than 3 minutes. When I walked back out, my stomach just dropped. There was Kyle, sitting in the driver's seat of my Porsche, with the biggest, smuggest grin on his face. And Dave is standing right there, arm around him, and I hear him say, "Clear as day. So that's my big surprise for you. Buddy, for your birthday next week, she's all yours." I felt this cold wave just wash over me. I must have marched over there in 2 seconds flat. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" I said. My voice was probably shaking. Dave had the audacity to laugh. "Oh, relax, man. We're just giving Kyle his birthday present." "Don't be so dramatic." Kyle chimes in. "Yeah. My dad said I could have it. I saw red." I opened the car door and said, "Kyle, get out. Now." I didn't shove him or anything, but I wasn't asking. He got out, sulking like I'd just kicked his puppy. The scene that followed was insane. Dave's wife started shrieking about how I was humiliating them. Dave got in my face, all puffed up, saying, "It's a fucking car. You can buy another one. You're really gonna ruin your nephew's birthday over this?" I didn't even argue. I just pointed at my front gate and said, "All of you, get the fuck off my property." Right now, you'd think I'd murdered someone. The texts started pouring in. My sister sobbing about how I broke Kyle's heart. My mom calling saying I was too harsh. That family doesn't treat family like that. All the usual guilt trip garbage. But here's where I might have become the jerk. I was still so angry on Monday. I couldn't get Dave's smug face out of my head. He's been chasing this big promotion at his fancy finance job for like 2 years. A senior director spot, and I know the CEO of that company. Mark, we play golf a few times a year, so I called Mark. I didn't scream or yell. I just said, "Hey Mark, this is a weird call, but I feel like you should know something about Dave's character." And I told him exactly what happened. I said, "A guy who tries to give away a $60,000 asset that isn't his, who lies to his kids so brazenly, I don't know, man. It just shows a real lack of judgment and integrity. I thought you should know before you put him in charge of more important things." I found out this morning that Dave didn't get the promotion. The official reason was issues with professional judgment. Now, the fallout is apocalyptic. My sister says I've destroyed their lives, and that Dave's career is over. My parents are begging me to apologize to save the family. My wife is on my side about the car. She knows what it means to me, but she thinks calling his boss was a bridge too far, that I should have just let them be miserable on their own. So Reddit, be honest with me, am I the jerk here? For protecting my car, and then for burning his career to the ground behind it? Comments, commenter 1, this can't be real. No one does this, in your face. And no family rallies around said lunatic like this. Like there's assholes and idiots, but this is stupid. Commenter 2, NTA. I would go scorched earth on him. He and any who support him would no longer be allowed on my property. Period. Commenter 3, this shit isn't real. There's no way anyone could just give your car away. And the fact that you think there was any chance that they could actually give it to their son is ludicrous. Commenter 4. I'm curious how he was planning on giving his kid a car someone else owns. Did you go too far? Without knowing your relationship with Mark, I really can't say. But you were doing Mark a favor by pointing out that the promotion might not be best for your BL. As far as cutting off the bill, I vote yes. What a fool. Who needs that kind of crap? Stories number 26. Destroying my grandchildren's toys behind my own child's back. My son and his wife are good parents. They work hard, spend their free time on kids' fun and learning activities, and share childcare responsibilities. They both have advanced degrees, so education isn't the issue. The kids, age 18 months and 4, have a huge playroom filled with toys. Their bedrooms are filled with books, clothes and stuffed animals, background. My career meant I saw photos of injuries to children, including deceased children, frequently, horrifying, gruesome, detailed and distressing. It changed me, permanently. But I worked hard not to overprotect my child or inflict them with fears. I see far more risks to my grandchildren's safety than they do. I try not to be Debbie Downer and hate speaking up. I think long and hard before I do. A recent visit is a good example. The toddler was wearing a heavy toy on a strap around her neck. After watching toddler for the better part of a day walk around catching the strap on other toys like a rocking horse, I expressed my concern in one polite, short, "I'm concerned about the strangulation risk," they said. Oh, toddler loves to wear things like that. The next day, I noticed the preschooler had a new toy with detachable spheres the diameter of a nickel. Oh dear, do you think that could be a choking hazard? No, those don't taste like anything. I don't want to argue. I don't want them to ignore that paranoid grandparent, so I now quietly disappear these items. No one seems to notice due to the plethora of toys. This weekend, I came home with my pockets full of plastic stickers that are choking hazards, the detachable spheres, and a popped latex balloon after I caught 4-year-old chewing on it.